Hello and welcome. I have to click go live here. Hope everybody's doing well. I dealing with some technical issues. This should be able to go live here. I mean, you're probably already seeing me, but all right. Looks like it worked. Looks like it worked. 2.5 minutes or 3.5 minutes ago. We went live. I did also today. Welcome, by the way. We're going to be playing some poker on BetRivers Poker here in Pennsylvania. If you are in Pennsylvania, um, join me. Come play. We just launched. Um, I don't know. I talked a lot yesterday. I'm sure I'll talk more about what's going on at BetRivers Poker in the coming days. But I don't know. We'll play some probably 100 no limit hold'em to start. Maybe some $5 sit and goes if you guys want to hop in. Those two things to join me. That's where we'll get started. I'm gonna pop out the chat and see if I can add it to. See if I can successfully add it to OBS now. Um, If you are just joining, throw some questions my way as we'll, take a minute to get started. Moonlight Master, good to see you. See if this works. There we go. Doesn't look perfect. What does it say below that? I guess we're not going to know. Let's go with that. And we will just see how that goes. They're going to show up in the other views. Oh, I have to connect it in all of them. That's because I haven't signed in. In the window in question, it's going to be okay, I believe. But yeah, throw some questions my way. How are you all doing? We might go with 4 tables. So let's get ready just in case. Oh, it's already ready to go. Nice. Um, AW555, good to see you. Welcome back. Thank you for welcoming me back. That's aligned well enough. We probably can remove the top chat part also. You know what? We're going with this for now. Um, there's probably a better way to do this. But this is what we're going with. So you'll be able to see some chat today. Come one, come all, come in, and just get centered. I slightly moved some things around. I still don't have the perfect setup here as I am on the road. But yeah, we'll just get started. Fixing a couple of things. Let's play some 100 NL. And I'm going to sit at a. I mean, what I really want to happen is to win one of the jackpot sit and goes, one of the cube sit and goes for a whole bunch of money. Have a nice, fun social media clip of that. I guess we'll use the 2 table. We'll use the 2 table or the 4 table. You guys let me know. Is 4 table? I'm going to start with 4 table, and I'm probably going to play 3 tables. I'm trying to. Now let's go 2 tables. Let me know if you like the 4 table view with 3 tables actually running. But we're going to go with 2 tables today. as we wait for some players. Lay that down. Okay, that should be good in terms of view. All right, let me find the chat. We'll put that right. Actually, we'll put that right here. So it kind of looks like I'm looking at you guys. I mean, a little below you. Sit and Go is going. Robert G, good to see you and thank you. EKW, I didn't redeposit. I didn't lose too much. But if we are going to have some bigger games, you see a button limp here. I like to quickly mark players with something just to give me some idea of how they play as soon as I get any indication, because especially when I'm streaming and talking to you all, helps me make quick decisions. Water ready. I guess we're going all in. I almost ran out of time, almost timed out. Yesterday, apparently, I timed out with a set. That's going to be us. Maybe we'll just win a nice jackpot right off the bat. Come into the $5 sit and goes. I'm going to keep playing them. So if you're watching in a $5, you can win up to 7,500. Not that that's what you're going to win most of the time. But there are a lot of cool ways to win in our cube sit and goes. Which, I was very involved in designing, not the visual design, which is beautiful, although I did approve that. For use, I mean, I could bet now, but would like a little bit more of a draw. I think this is not super credible, but I'm gonna go for it. Am I gonna go for it? No, I'm not. Go more blockery. And we'll just fold. Let's move and pull up a second one, maybe. So we're waiting on one more. Oh, wow. Time out everywhere. I sat out here, timed out here. All right, we've got another one here. I'll bring it up when it's time. Lost ace jack to king jack. It happens. I don't know what's going on. I think that my internet is disconnecting me from this table. I've had some weird connection issues, and I made some changes today that I thought would fix everything. So far, that remains to be seen. Yeah, so it seems like you guys like the two table view or one table view. Laz Poker says sitting at your table again. Good to see you again. I'm going to check this and see if I can induce some bluffs. And I'm just going to check call. I think like there's a good chance he's bluffing and we'll keep betting. If he's value betting, there's a good chance excuse me, will keep value betting. And I do have to call it off now. I think there'll be a lot of like 5x, 8x. Unfortunately, it was 8, 10. And I'm going to lose, potentially get a glitch prize. So I think what's happening is my computer is overheating. Hey, we won a glitch prize. So we're supposed to win 0. Got $1.25 back. I will take it. Yeah, see, this table won't close. My computer's exploding. What can I close? Probably a lot of Chrome. Knows that usually takes up the most You know what I mean? Very hard to close Chrome. Thanks for your patience, everybody. Yeah, let's see if this works. Yeah, I'm going to force quit Chrome. Okay. Okay. Apple. What is the on Mac? I feel like such a fish because my desktop's PC. Oh, and I just feel like a fish because I limped the cutoff. I'm looking for the equivalent of a task manager. Not a bad flop. Go ahead and bet. Herbie Link says, I was hoping to sign up for Vision for the Halloween Black Friday. Is there any way to do it on a monthly payment instead of paying one annual payment? That is a question. Email support at runatoncE.com. And we have very good support there. They'll get back to you quickly. Poker stop bum hunting me, please. Robert G, how much do I think I win pots because somebody wants the story of bluffing me? It's actually a little frustrating in that I think in a lot of spots, I don't know, like when you play tournaments, especially, you kind of don't want people to bluff you. You want them to stay out of your way. And so some people do that, and others want the story, and I can't really tell which is which. So it actually can potentially hurt me sometimes. Life Shoe Aquatic, good to see you again. Flop checked around. I'll call this turn, especially against third pot. Yeah, that's a good river. I would have check raised the river. It's hard to be beat there. Let's see what I was up against. Ace seven. So I was beat on the turn. And that hand I think could go for value on the river. I'd go for value there if Briar is watching my stream. Mark. I don't actually have a color in my head that's passive. That's going to be the closest. Doc, it's good to see you. It has been a while since the good old Run Once Poker days. Somebody come sit at a $5 sitting. I'm going to see. Are there people sitting at other ones? We could play a classic one as well. And also, if you're playing on the site and in chat, let me know what you want me to like. Let me know what you're playing. Let me know what you would be playing or are playing kind of anyway. Doctor Doc says I was just asking on Twitter if Rio P had the VPIP PFR always showing his numbers. Maybe it didn't. I had no idea. No. So this Hero IQ is a feature we added probably 5 months in, 5 months after launch at Rio Poker, and it was an option. So maybe it was longer than 5 months. So eventually, so we launched with just dynamic avatars, and when you would hover over them, it would tell you like no, it would just tell you type passive and how many hands. I think it wouldn't tell you any of the stats. And then we added Hero IQ. Hey, I'm forgetting. It could have been 3 months in. It could have been 9 months in, honestly. But somewhere in that range, probably. And then yeah, it was a setting that you could turn on. The default was not to have it on. Here we've gone with default on, which I like better. I think it's more fair because the more casual players are not going to go in. Some of them are not going to go into their options and find out. Plus option, plus escape. We'll bring up forced quit applications. Thank you, Mark Tyson, and good to see you again. All right, I'm going to unregister this. Seems like it's not going right now. And let's add do I want to add a PLO? I'll set it 100 PLO as well. I think we need one more to start. So I'll move that off screen. And in the meantime, yeah, you guys let me know in chat where you want me. I'm going to make a light 3-bet here. This player's played a lot of hands. Don't try this at home. Up into the $10 pool as well. $10 no limit. Just give some more players a chance to take my money. Interesting spot here on this flop because I don't really want to get all in. I don't expect to get check raised a lot. And I do want to deny some equity. So and now it's interesting. Um, I mean, like, I could make a better hand fold. It's hard to make a worse hand call unless it's a flush draw. This is a really weird spot. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna check. And now on the river, Joe should just shove whatever, like 100% of his range. Um, and I probably need to call. I don't think there's enough 7x in there. Stop me from calling. Good thing I checked the turn, kind of. Yeah, this big nostalgia. It is for me too. It's funny. It's because from the time we closed Run It Once Poker to now, I mean, it's been like 2.5 years. So it's been a while since I mean, I've tested a little bit, but not, it's different testing. And I didn't have a Phil Galfond account in testing. So like seeing my avatar again, where I played the challenges. Yeah, it's very nostalgic for me too. Okay, hold on. So the interesting thing, oh, okay, 6-4 suited. I thought it was 6-4 offsuit, which I just posted a short, uh, like a short clip from yesterday's stream on Twitter that where somebody called a raise with 6-4 offsuit, and I thought it just happened again. I was like, these people love 6-4 offsuit. But 6-4 suited is not too unreasonable there. I got a lot of value with my uh, Queen 6 suited 3-bet. Here with Queens, not a really good calling hand, and like you just have to be so careful when 4 people see the flop. Steve says I strictly play PLO and poorly at that. Me too. Dan C, good to see you. Need to add Brazil to the list of approved states soon. Does Brazil have um forgive my ignorance, does Brazil have regulated online poker? I think they no, because I think the like sorry, they have rest of world companies that have online poker are in Brazil as well. Just wondering if I guess probably they don't have it in the same way that the states do, where it's like ring fenced and regulated in that respect. So raise pre, this is a pretty good flop for my range. I'm gonna start by betting, and then I'll probably bet big on the turn if given the opportunity. I am also sitting at um, 100 PLO for anybody who wants to join. Okay, looking back up at some of the questions. Elmer Salas, I feel I'm an average 200 NL cash player, now willing to transfer to Omaha. Um, that's three bet Joe again. Um, Doc misses cubed. Yeah, cubed is really cool. Okay, willing to transfer to Omaha. Would you suggest PLO 4 to be a good choice to learn nowadays, or might I feel outdated? Better focus on 5 or 6. So I don't play PLO 5 and 6, so I don't actually even have great. This is kind of close. Let's gamble for the stream. Um, all those players been very snug thus far. Um, I don't know. It depends where you're going to play. It seems that PLO 5 and 6 is a lot more prevalent on like in unregulated in like fringe games elsewhere, whereas like the major sites, I see a lot more full card. I don't think there's necessarily a wrong choice here. However, what I would advise you to do is to pick one and stick with it. I think learning two new games at once, even though they are similar, would just be a big mistake. Um, one thing that I teach in my group coaching program is the idea of intentional congruence, is the way it was described to me when I learned it, which is, how many of the things that you work on augment each other, enhance your abilities from one to the next. So the example I give is, if I'm playing No Limit Hold'em and I'm coaching No Limit Hold'em, those are very congruent. In that when I play, I become a better coach. When I coach, I become a better player, and they help each other. Now, the opposite of that is, let's say I play No Limit Hold'em and I also sports bet. Playing No Limit Hold'em is not going to make me a much better sports better, and betting sports is not really going to make me a better No Limit Hold'em player. Um, and so it doesn't mean you shouldn't do that. It means that the EV in your mind that you get from that compared to a different option on the surface is not quite as good as you think, because you're splitting focus. You are spending time on things that, well, aren't congruent with each other. And so I try to find more intentional congruencies between things that I focus on. Weird kind of hand here where I can like, this is not, I don't think this is like good, but I think it just works out. It's a protection bet with additional equity when called. And now I don't know how thin I can go. Like, I think like half pot is the amount I want to go. That was Jack 10. Yeah. Nice hand. We did get nice hand. We have 100 PLO running. So welcome to anybody who's playing with me there. Not on the screen right now. In the theme of intentional congruence, we got the top two No Limit Hold'em games so that you all don't get confused. You're gonna have to see my pocket aces. Folded to us in the small blind. We're gonna raise. We're gonna raise here too. We're gonna play with some overlap. All right, I probably missed a lot of chat. Let's see. Um, Dan C, thank you for the well wishes and the info about the confirmation about Brazil not being ring fenced. We miss you here too. All right. Well, I'm gonna just try to stick with the chat that you can see. So I three bet here. I'm getting clicked back. I view that as general weakness. Well, I shouldn't say weakness. Just it's an odd play. And so I peel with great pot odds. This flop is pretty bad for me, but now I'm getting 1,000,000 to 1. So let's see a turn. Player's playing a lot of hands. Okay. AW asking about other states, Illinois or New York. So the plan is to get in as many regulated states as we can in time. We're not going to do all of them at once right now. We just launched in Pennsylvania, and we're focused on building up the player base here in Pennsylvania. But before we move on and add other jurisdictions, obviously we'll stay in Pennsylvania as well. Johnny, there haven't been that many design changes since it was run at once, but some certainly. And yeah, it does look pretty cool now, doesn't it? I think it looked. Design is the one area that we never lacked, in my humble opinion. Our design team is just so incredible. Very, very lucky to have them. And it's one of those things that, I can take a tiny, tiny bit of credit for, but realistically, um, just luck that we found the right people. Well, some luck and then their skill to find more people who are talented. Oh, interesting, Dan. So until recently, online gambling was banned in Brazil, but poker was exempt as a game of skill. Now it's legal and more opening up. Okay. A loose call on the PLO table. I'll bring it up. So I raised under the gun, called a three bet, which is standard. I check called third pot, which is a little bit iffy, but I think okay. Check, check, turn. And I'm going to bluff now. Small. I don't have any diamonds. I'm repping that I just have like a set or straight. Cool. So it's kind of hard to have a worse hand on King 6-3 rainbow after check calling flop. Saul would love to teach me some poker lessons if I ever have extra time. Thank you. My time is very limited these days. Carl, welcome, welcome. Thanks for being here. Mark Tyson wants to see a PLO table. EKW, yes, we got to apply on states. There is no bounty, but I'll try to play badly. See if that helps. I will. I'll continue to join the $5 cubed sit and goes or classic, the 450 classic or the $5 cubed. And when I see more players in there, I will hop in because I really want to get a big cubed victory on screen. On stream is what I meant by that. So let's go on min raise, min raise. I'm going to call. Here's a YOLO from this guy. Let's give him a YOLO. YOLO, Trevor. That's just a fold. Overbet. Nice. And here against a limper, I'm going to raise. This player's after how many hands is this? Sorry, with 38 hands, has never raised pre-flop and had that passive play post-flop. So I'm going to keep that in mind. this player's going to play. So when you're up against a passive player, you have to be the one to get the money in when you have good hand. You can't really count on them to put in money for you. And so I'm actually going to bet twice and check river, which is a really weird line with a hand like this. I'm going to bet small. Like this is nuts. But this is the way to, well, a way to play against passive players. It's the way to make the most money against jacks or 7x or flush draws because I'm not inducing enough bluffs when I check back and I'm not inducing thinner value bets. And if they do bet the river, like for a big sizing there and I have ace 8, I don't even know if I want to call. Interesting flop here. So sometimes a hand like this makes a good 3-barrel bluff. I'm going to play it more passively. Yeah. And just check it down. Unless I improve. Okay. Went against 8-7. Standard from Breyer. I mean, I think it's pre-flop fold, but I think the call, sorry, like you don't bluff a hand like that on the turn and then easy check on the river. AW. So since I can't, I closed. Oh, my face is pretty far out of frame. Sorry about that. So I closed. Trying to say. Sorry, I'm tired today, everybody. I closed Chrome because my computer was starting to slow down. So I don't know how many people are watching, but welcome everybody who's joining the stream, new to the stream especially. And you got to chat so I know that you're here. Um, Otherwise, I have no concept of how many people are watching. I really did want to see something on my phone. Who's my favorite poker industry person? Although I've only had one pretty limited encounter with him, I'm going to say Isai Scheinberg. He's having now worked in the poker industry a bit. You know, I've worked with a lot of people, worked with and had conversations with a lot of people who worked for Poker Stars um, when Isai was in charge. And the way that they talk about him is unlike the way that I hear anybody talk about their boss. They talk about him like, um, well, a way that I would love to be talked about as a leader. And it just seems like he is a really, really special um, human being and leader from everything that I hear. And my one interaction did not contradict that. Was consistent with that. Min raise, let's get in there with 9 deuce. Tony asks, does my team need investors inside Rivers Properties? I've been playing on this new platform every day, and I play Rivers Casino Pittsburgh at least twice a week. Awesome, Tony. I don't even know the answer to that question. I think probably, well, some of the teams watching this stream. So, guys, maybe if you could chime in chat if we, what we can do for someone like Tony, or if there's, if he can help us out, just being a frequent player both in our live and online properties. Oh, Card Sharp saying in terms of media, that's tougher. Um, that's tougher. Doc Alexandra. I call her Doc because that was uh, her name in our Run Once Discord. But since you all are seeing full name, Dr. Alexandra. Dr. Alexandra says I might actually cry if I see a 100x multiplier cubed hit on screen. I will. Well, I'm still going to try to hit one, but I'll just hope you're looking away when it happens. Dustin, why play such small stakes promo thing? Yeah, I mean the point. So the point of this is for me to play with the players who are playing on the platform. I am not really playing like I'm not playing as a you know as a professional to earn money right now. This is me playing to to have fun with the players and showcase the platform to you all and interact with you all. So I'm at 1818 so far. Only 17 hands, so I'm not going to read too much into that. I think this read on Briar is going to be pretty strong. I mean, over 49 hands, never raising pre-flop is going to be a pretty reliable statistic. We'll call here with deuces. Jasmine and Devin are playing most hands over here on the left table. So this is a pretty good bluffing hand, I think. I think I'm just going to blast off. Here with deuces. Jasmine's all in. I guess I'm going to call. I mean, it's a weird spot. I'm up against two really wide ranges, one reasonable range here in Trevor. Okay. Mod, I was going to Bluff River, but he got me. And maybe you have bluff and you didn't want me to Bluff River. Mhm. I don't know why I just got self-conscious when I sometimes people say like sometimes in live poker, um, people will say like, "Oh, I was gonna bluff if you checked," as in like to criticize the person who bet and make them feel bad about betting. That was not at all my intention. Just thinking out loud, which I have to do on stream. Um, Moonlight Master says, "Can you check the tournament lobby for us if you have the time? I'd love to see what's offered today." Yeah. So we've got. Let me play this hand first. So c-bet flop again. This is the passive player that I was playing with earlier. So I'm not going to count on him to put money in for me. So I'm going to fire out these two bigger bets to get the money myself. Here on the left table, super loose player opens, another loose player calls. This is good enough to three bet. And now with 10-8, I don't want to bluff with 10-8. I mean, I'm going to lose almost definitely, but I could chop sometimes or win occasionally. Ace nine suited, gonna play it. I'm actually just gonna call, let some other players in. Here with King Jack, gonna see bet, hope to fold out, pocket eights and stuff like that. Instead, we get raised. We're not gonna fold this, and so I'm just gonna shove it in hopes that if Jasmine has something like I don't know, sometimes people raise like fours and then fold them here, and just there's not that much left. I'm not folding the turn, so let's see if I can get the fold equity now. Get in against trips, which has turned into a full house, and I'm going to lose that pot, and rightfully so. Nice hand, Jasmine. So action's a little fast and furious. Here's tournament lobby today. We do have a $500 free roll. I've seen. I mean, I actually I should know if this is nightly, but it seems like it might be. Um, a lot of these are going to overlay. For example, so the 250 daily cent. So this is not a free roll. It costs 1 cent to enter, but it's 250 in the prize pool, and there's no way we're going to get close to that. So if you want to play for 1 penny, um, more or less a free roll, come and get it. That late registration ends in 48 minutes to play the daily cent. So daily 1 cent tournament, essentially guaranteed to overlay, more or less a free roll. And then we do have the $500 free roll as well. A lot of these guaranteeds I don't expect to hit, given that we are just getting started here. I'll keep calling with ace six. Y'all are bored by 2 card. Wow, overbet. I'm extraordinarily curious. I don't know why I can't talk today. But I'm not going to do it. Sorry. Nice hand again, Jasmine. I mean, I can switch. I can throw the PLO up on screen. All right, Doc's good with going by Doc. I just meant because other people won't know who I'm talking to. But yeah, I like calling you Doc. I'm gonna fold a deuce there. I think that a player who checks on ace four deuce, I don't know. I just kind of believe Delilah there, and it's not like my hand is that good, even if I don't believe her. EKW, thanks for handling that question. Card Sharp, what do me and Farah eat for breakfast most days? Um, More often than not, I don't eat breakfast. If I do, eggs, eggs these days. That's I don't know. I've been on a in the past. I've been very like specific with. I shouldn't say so. In the past, I've had more just like regular things that I eat on routine, and lately I've just kind of been all over the place. So it's harder. You asked me at a hard time in my life for that. Uh, Bet turn. I'm going to bluff river, hoping that a single like a queen of spades deuce is what I'm up against, and hopefully the queen of spades deuce wouldn't raise me. But I do get min raised. I'm not going to call the six high, and once again, Jasmine's going to get the best of me. Jasper, thank you very much. Do I have a view on sports psychologist for poker? I mean, I think that any way to work on your mental game is hugely, hugely valuable, especially if you're serious about poker at all. So if you're just playing casually, you know, it's not a big deal. But anybody who is looking to play semi-professionally or professionally, I think should invest in mindset. Most of my experiences, and I mean, I teach mindset now in my group coaching program Beyond the Game, but most of my coaching experiences within poker on mindset have been with coaches who now at least specialize in poker. Elliot Rowe, several people who work with him, Tommy Angelo, Jared Tendler's another who came from sports. And I know Elliot and others, they've done sports as well. But so I can't speak to personal experience with specifically sports psychologists who haven't done poker. And I think you'd be better off with somebody who has done poker because there's a lot that's hard for them to like. Poker is its own language. This is maybe supposed to be a check. Oh, you can't see what I'm talking about. Ignore me. Ignore me. So this is what it is. I raised in c-bet flop with a set of fives with the ace. Then I'll finish that thought. So here on the ace, I probably lose, but I'm not going to fold. I could win against 6-6. I could win against a straight, and obviously there are some bluffs that are possible. Okay, nice. I was up against bluffs with jacks. I usually don't see jacks bluff there because they have a little bit of showdown value, or more than a little bit, but it's still a pretty good bluff. Like as you can see there, I had ace five, and I mean, I was never folding it, but if I had second nut straight, I probably would have folded. I would have folded. If I had trips, probably fold, maybe raise, but that's an ambitious and potentially very good bluff. To put a bow on that thought, that's maybe the better way to say it. I I bet sports psychologists would also do a great job within poker if they're great at the other things they do. Um, and check one more time and try to put in a bet or two on the river. But I do think all else being equal, having poker experience helps. But yes, I think that getting somebody to work on your mindset with is an awesome investment. And it just like until you've done it, you don't you don't really know. It's hard to know what you're missing. It's hard to understand what you're missing. Short off asks if you need to live in PA or you can drive there and play on a laptop in a hotel or something. So yeah, you Moonlight Master's right. You need to be in Pennsylvania. You don't need to be from Pennsylvania. Scotty says, Yo, Phil, going through your foundations course as we speak. Great content. Hey, thank you very much. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Hope it helps you crush. And yeah, Moonlight Master points out, I'm not from Pennsylvania. Yeah, EKW. Correct as well. Thank you for chiming in. What is do any of you have any election bets? And if so, or if not, what's the best way to, because I'm streaming, so I can't like, well, I don't want to like watch the news and see what's happening, but I'd be curious to just see a live update of, I guess, betting markets, which I assume would give you some indication of the probability that that one candidate would win or the other. Because you'd expect, you know, the betting markets to react with the news. I'm looking at Polymarket; it's not adjusting. Like, not much is happening in the last 6 hours. So I also just not watching the election coverage. I guess just not much has happened yet. Polls close in 3 hours or something. So I guess, yeah. I remember watching election results like 4 or 8 years ago, and it was the whole thing. I think it was probably 4 years ago, and they made it surprisingly interesting to watch. All right, so up against one more passive player and one unknown player who's also played 100% of hands, but only over 4 hands. By also, I mean it has loose stats. As blank as you can get on the turn. I'm going to go for a big bet. I think my hand is best, but it's only one pair. It's a little bit vulnerable. With queens on the left here, I could bet just to thin the field a little bit. But I don't really want to build a big pot with queens on 7-6-4. I'm checking, and I think my hand is too good to fold. See a turn. It's actually not a bad turn for us. It gives hands like 7-8 less equity to improve. King is an interesting card. I think I have the best hand most of the time. It's a little bit hard to get called. I'm going to check. You face a big bet. So this line is very odd, especially with the big bet on the river. So you're saying that you check the turn, saying you don't have a good hit on the turn, but now on the river you have a hand good enough to, slightly overbet. King Queen some kind, I don't know, weirdly played like King X of clubs. I kind of just am skeptical, so I'm going to call. Story didn't make a ton of sense to me. It is King 7 that story checks out. So when you see a hand like King 7 there, you don't think to yourself like, "Oh, I was wrong," because that fits the story that I had in my head of like hands that would make sense. But if you then see, King 10 offsuit, like, well, okay, I was wrong because first of all, this player's looser on the flop than I expected, and they're maybe betting a little bit thin. I guess, yeah, I think King 10 is a little thin for that sizing, thinner than I thought she would go. So when you see something that fits with the story that you already had, um, you don't get much additional information. But when you see something that does not fit, then you know, like, oh, I guess that was a bad read by me. I need to adjust my interesting overbet there on the 10. Very surprising overbet, actually. Mm, yeah, I was thinking, or acting too fast, I should say. I'm gonna drop this lower stakes table and bring the PLO up here. You can see some slightly higher stakes action and a little something for the 2 carders and the 4 carders. Again, hop in the $5 sit and go cubed or the 450 classics. When I see enough people, when I see like at least 6 people in that lobby, I'm gonna join. Card Sharp says Kalshi for the betting market. Doc says Polk just bet Kamala plus 155 for 100K. That seems, I mean, from what I understand, that seems like a good bet at a plus 155. But I'm not deep in the lab on the election. But I mean, even just going by 538, which uh, people love to have strong opinions on, I think it's probably pretty good. They have it as basically a coin toss. So if you can get plus 155 on either side, um, this is not financial advice. Don't listen to anything I say, but that's what I would have taken that bet as well. I heard there have been a ton of, again, not financial advice. I heard there have been a ton of betting opportunities and probably will be all night. Um, where if you're it's rough for the US, but I think if you're like non-US, like Europe, there are a few different places to place bets and they have um, like vastly different odds. So there's been a lot of arbitrage opportunities, which for those who don't know what arbitrage in this case means is, the lines are such that bet on you can bet on Kamala on one side and bet on Trump on the other, and can be guaranteed to never lose, because whichever one of them wins, you can get like you can set it up such that you can win either way because their prices are so different. I think this is worth betting. I'll go with a small bet because I don't have any straight blockers, but like when you have a hand that would have to check fold to a big bet, but has pretty good equity, and especially like this where you have good implied odds, um, makes a pretty good small betting candidate. And I do have a lot of small bets on the with my probes on these straight turns. Here on the river, I have the bottom of my range, and I think it's worth bluffing. A lot of people say, "Oh, I'll wait for a 10 blocker," but like, how are you going to have a 10 blocker here without having a straight? It's really, really tough. I mean, you'd have to have ace king. No, you'd have to have ace 10 deuce deuce with nut spades or something. So don't make the mistake of waiting for a 10 blocker because you'll just never bluff. You'll have the queen high straight or king high straight, you know, 30% of the time, and then you'll have a 10 blocker 1% of the time. And so maybe you'll value bet 20 of those 30%, and then you'll bluff the 10 blocker 1%, and you have 20 value hands for every one bluff. And your opponent should never, ever, ever call you. All right, it's ace 5. We'll call the min raise. Blind versus blind. Truth hurts. I'm in Philly. 10 days total. I've been here. I've been here a few days. My sister lives here with my brother-in-law, and they are going to take me around a little bit when I get a break. Unfortunately, the best times to stream are at night, and they don't. I mean, they're not poker players; they have jobs during the day, so it's. I don't have a lot of opportunity to hang out with them as much as I'd like while I'm here. I don't really beat value, but I have an ace, one of the best hands to like one of the best cards to use to call with. I think it's worth calling. Bluff. So min raise from the small blind with 6-4 offsuit. I told you earlier they love 6-4 offsuit on BetRivers Poker. Um, but yeah, I'm not gonna have a great chance to explore the food scene. However, if there's something that you just like really strongly recommend, especially if I can like Uber Eats order it, then I'll make it happen. Maybe I'll maybe make it happen. That does sound good too. Jasper, I think you learned about Jared Tendler when he was coaching Team Liquid Esports. Yeah, I started in poker. I'm a low stakes winning player thanks to you. Awesome. I don't. I whatever amount of credit you're giving me, got to give some to yourself because you did most of the work. But that's awesome to hear. I'm glad I'm a part of it. Justice sitting at 1K PLO. See if we can bust my roll at 1K PLO. I will join. Might have to. All right, so we're sitting at 1K PLO. If there's a third player who wants to splash around, I mean, as you've seen, like I don't play I don't play my best on stream, but I try. I can't not try. So I'm pretty good at PLO. Don't play 1K PLO with me if it's out of your comfort zone. Um, don't hop up from 200 PLO to 1K PLO to take a shot at me because I don't want to take two buy-ins off of you in a game that you know that ends up being 10 buy-ins in your regular game. So gamble responsibly. But if you want to play some 1K PLO against me and Justice, we are sitting there. I'm just gonna go ahead and bet this. I mean, it's a bluff, but it's just like a lot of good things can happen, including I can just take down the pot on the flop. You're not really supposed to get led into here, which is one of the good things that can happen is they check to you on the turn. So given this, it makes my flop bet worse, and I'm just gonna fold. That's a non sequitur. It makes my flop bet worse. Also, I have a bad hand. I'm gonna fold. As big hand on the turn. I still think it's a really good. That's a really good check call hand on the turn when you turn pair plus open ender plus club draw. It's a nice what I would call pulling hand. Let's three bet the ace 10 9 7 double suited. All right, we got some tables going. Again, I'm keeping an eye on sit and goes. Don't see enough people there yet. All right, so we got cold called by Bailey. This is an interesting flop. Interesting. I'm going to start by checking. And I'm actually going to rip this in. So I have no pair. I only have a gut shot, but I have two back doors. And I think this is a flop that people stab on a lot. And so even like a hand like 10-10 or king-king might bet fold. But also I see hands like mine taking a stab or like ace-king 5-3 that then bet fold. Sometimes in order to live, you got to be willing to die. Is that how the saying goes? It's close to that. Paraphrasing. Then say, how much better am I at PLO than no limit hold'em in percentage? I don't know how to put it in percentage, but I'll put it this way. I think that if I played, you know, if we look at heads up, let's just look at heads up for whatever. the skill level that I have at 100, 200 PLO compared to the field who plays 100, 200 PLO, heads up, is probably similar to the skill level I would have at 2.5 heads up, so 500 no limit hold'em heads up. So in stakes, it's a lot higher. However, there's not a massive gap between like 2K and 20K in skill. Because like some of those players play all of those. So I don't know if that was the best way to explain it, but that's how I explained it. We got a limp, a raise, a call. I guess I'm calling. I don't really know what's going on here. Rocco's playing a lot of hands and playing them passively pre. Amara's been pretty tight. Yeah, Panther, Monium. I don't know why the odds favor Trump so much, given the forecasting models are so close to a coin toss. Yeah, I don't know either. It could be that some people, like, oftentimes I trust betting markets more than I trust, experts, what experts are saying. That's a very general statement. But for example, like, well, whatever, I'll leave it at that. But it could be the case that people are voting, or sorry, betting very emotionally. But yeah, I'm a little surprised. Card Sharp says Jared Blesnick says he's a better pot limit Omaha player than me and Ben Lamb. Do I think that's possible? I mean, it's possible. Steven, what's my reaction to the initial player population? Most likely hopping in for the deposit promo sometime this week. How do you mean about like the number of people who have joined or the caliber of play? Um, it's been probably in both cases similar to what I would expect if I had to guess. But I mean, there could be such a wide range of outcomes that I wouldn't have been surprised at much of anything. Jasper, what's a good way to study turn river spots? I feel like free flop and flop has a lot of info, but later streets more specific and harder to study. Yeah, so excuse me. I First of all, I'm not sure if you're talking about PLO or no limit, but the answer is kind of the same. Um, and well, it depends how advanced you're talking. So for advanced poker, you got to get into solvers. And the easiest way, if you're like getting into intermediate poker and you want to use solvers, um, GTO Wizard for No Limit Hold'em is the most used app in that category, and Vision for PLO is my company's app. Run it once. You can find it at runitonce.com/vision. But even if you just head to runitonce.com, you will find your way to it. Um, but as you get to turn and river, yeah, you can't study every turn and river. You can't memorize how to play on every turn and river. And so much of it is about studying those spots and pulling heuristics, pulling these kind of rules and concepts that you keep in your mind. This is a weird example, but when I first started playing poker 20 years ago as a sit and go player, and a year or so into that, they had a tool that would calculate your EV for like shoving, pre-flop with 10 big blinds or 12 big blinds or 5 big blinds. And the way it worked is you would put in the number of players left, you'd put in their chip stacks, you would put in the hand that you have, and then you would put in the calling and folding ranges of every single player. So it's obviously, compared to today, it's quite a process, quite a pain. But it was actually really valuable because in doing all of that work and then seeing the output, and then tweaking something and seeing the output, tweaking one more thing, seeing the output, it gave you, or I should speak for myself, it gave me a really good idea of, how much of an impact needing to get through one extra player was, or how much of an impact going from 10 big blinds to 7 big blinds was on the types of hands that I could shove profitably. So that allowed me to kind of learn those spots that I was studying, but also extrapolate to, okay, I haven't studied this spot, but there are three players behind me, and the stacks are such that one player has only two big blinds, which I haven't studied specifically, and the other two have big stacks. But if I treat that as like that's not as much of an impact, it's kind of closer to having two players behind me, plus one that's I don't know, is going to call somewhat often, but not crazy often off the on the button. But then I'm going to have good pot odds and keep most of my stack, et cetera, et cetera. So what my point is, three bet queens here. My point is that as you look through and study solvers, I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is they will look at, I'm going to just see bet small with queens. They will look at an output and like they'll play a hand, they'll go check it in a solver and be like, okay, I got it right, or oh, I got it wrong. I need a better hand than that to value bet. And then that's it. But what you need to do is go look at how the other hands play, how play would be different if the turn was, the club instead of an offsuit card. How it would be different on this turn if it's a nine instead of a three, or a 10 instead of a nine. And then you start to get that pattern recognition where you can see what factors are influencing the correct decision the most, and that way you can better extrapolate into whatever situation you find yourself in. I hope that was helpful. It's a very difficult thing to teach um, on a stream while playing, and without a lot of time and verbal back and forth. Here with queens, we were up against queen jack, a little bit loose pre, but otherwise standard post. So on the left table, three bet, a nice double suited hand, blind versus blind. 7-5-4 is a board that we're going to not do very well on with our three betting range. Dominic's not going to do very well on it either, but better than us. And I would have expected a lot of bets from Dominic on the flop. The check to me is implying a hand like queens um, that like is too strong to bluff and like doesn't have a lot of equity to semi bluff. Unfortunately, I lose to queens now, and unfortunately, Dominic's betting. So let me think about this because some weird stuff. This is a weird. I guess like 7x kind of makes sense. I would have thought a lot of 7x hands would bet the flop. Um, Maybe some 7-5, 7-4. That makes sense. I block those. I don't know. I just don't see. I don't tend to see a ton of bluffing. Pre-flop stats are pretty tight passive, which tends to correlate with post-flop stats. Or sorry, post-flop play being more tight passive. So I'm gonna fold, given all that. Nice hand, Dominic. So here I raised and checked, and then I guess I'm calling down against a new player. Top pair. Lose to a flush. Loose-ish pre-flop call, but obviously well played post-flop. And our 5-10 game has started. So let's keep a no limit on and let's leave the PLO so that we have a bit of something for everybody. I'm gonna limp here because I was running out of time. I do like to play raise only from the small blind when there's no ante. It's just easier. But I did not. I'm not expecting a lot of bets or calls here, but it's usually going to come from a flush if I'm going to get money in. So I like checking to check raise and get more money in against flushes. Here, I'm really not expecting a lot of bets. So I'm going to go small bet, and I'm going to try to set up a three bet against the flush. But like when they don't bet this flop or turn, they likely have one pair by the river or less. So it's just hard to make money no matter what I do. Okay, this game broke. Maybe we will see. Actually, if we're heads up, I'll just play 100% of hands as a potential handicap. But I would, if this is you from chat, I'm sorry I forgot your name. I would, I'm heads up to my best game. So if this is outside of your typical bankroll levels, and like if you're a non-expert here, then I would suggest being careful and not playing me. But it is good for the stream, and I appreciate the action. Also, you do potentially get to bust my roll. Let's see. Yeah. Check flop. Turn a gut shot with my pair. This seems close. Seems close. Obviously, I beat bluffs. I have a little bit of equity to improve, but the problem is like my two pair outs are not very good. If I hit my three, I'm often up against jack six and stuff like that. 9974. Again, if you're watching, I think that's a really good check call hand. I wouldn't bet that. It's not a big mistake by any means, but I think that like you have enough showdown value that you don't need to start bluffing. And if you can induce some, I'm gonna make this kind of weird. This is very thin, but just gonna try to like freeze the action essentially, and then check river. Um, you can induce some thin turn delay c bet semi bluffs. 10 makes sense. Well played. So it's I think better to check call that hand on the turn. I'm gonna try to play 100% of hands if I remember. These spots, the way they work is you kind of bet if you have a club, check if you don't. It's not quite that way, but close to it. And with no pair, this is going to be a barrel off for me. You want to not have pairs when you're bluffing three streets because you want them to have like king nine by the time you bet the river. Okay, Mark Tyson says Alpen Rose. Never heard of it. Out of control. Best food in town. I'm gonna. Hey Moonlight, can you remember that? I don't have a place to take notes right now. I guess my phone maybe. Mark, I do appreciate the offer to buy. I actually owe a couple people a meetup here that I'm probably not going to get to because again, I'm nighttime streaming, which is the time to hang out. But thank you very much. Samuel says software looks good. What states? We are in Pennsylvania only. We just launched in Pennsylvania. Delay CBET. This is thin, but I'm kind of counting on Hadley checking a little bit too weak. It makes sense. Well played. We were only in Pennsylvania, but the plan is to expand to other regulated markets, states specifically first. Yeah, so the usernames are randomly assigned on a per table basis. We call this table alias. And I've gone into the reasons for it before, but yeah, I'll leave it at that. Let me know if you have any questions. Stephen, yeah, amount of signups, concurrent players. That was in reference to when you asked earlier, you know, how the reception has been, or how the player base has been in the first week since launch. Yeah, like I said, I really didn't know what to expect. It's kind of on par. Something. So it looks like the stream dropped for a minute. I'm just gonna pot this for value with a 9 high flush when all the diamonds come out. I'm not sure how that happened. It just showed up for me that it disconnected. Actually, let me pull up YouTube. Just in case I have to reconnect on the YouTube side. Thanks for your patience, y'all. We'll check call that. And this is a pretty good river. I mean, it's a decent river check raise hand. I kind of think I'm getting called, and I can't really put it into words. But I guess the words are I think I'm up against a set, especially when I block the king. So I'm actually just going to make a nitty fold. I, I I mean, it's not a nitty fold. It's not a calling hand. It's just a potential raise, but it's one of the better raises. But I just I didn't like it. Something didn't smell right. Yeah, this thinks I'm still live, so hopefully I'm live again. And against a big bet, yikes! This is close as far as whether I can call the king queen six deuce with backdoor flush draw. I would have folded without the backdoor flush draw. Now I'm facing half pot. I have the open ender. I think this is just a fold. Like my outs are really tainted. And like Hadley can be bluffing with aces and have me beat. And it's just yeah, it's tough to win that hand. Let's check OBS, see that we're still well. That it's I shouldn't say still, but that it's working right now. Um, Seems like a fold. Excellent connection. Okay, I think it's back. Okay, nice. Thank you all. And we're calling a three bet, of course. Let's take a peek at the sit and go select. Oh, we do have enough players. I did say that I would play a sit and go. So let's do that. I will call here. I guess I'll wait for this hand to finish, as it's a pretty important one. So in a spot like this, I have less than two times pot. Yeah, sometimes I'm getting check raised by aces and I'm just wrecked. But the board's so draw heavy. I think just potting it in is the play. I could go. You could use three quarters pot as your sizing here. That would be okay. But just got to end the hand, or get it in and be slightly ahead of the range, or really probably yeah be doing fine against the range, but get check called a lot. I think this is just a call without a suit. It's close. We are facing a lot of aggression from Hadley, so I think I was kind of thinking that Hadley was not playing that tough, and I'm potentially being proven wrong pretty quickly. I thought this would start quickly. Let's check this one. Jonathan Hammer. No, I didn't place any election bets. So one I don't know if I'd call this a principle, but one thing I've been thinking about and kind of learned, I would say, as of late is there are a lot of potential opportunities to do plus EV things. And in the past, I've taken too many of them. The the reality is splitting focus into like spending the time to analyze election bets for me, which is taking time away from running my businesses, is taking time away from me playing poker. This is what I talked about earlier with intentional congruence. It's just like a waste of time. And even if I could find the plus EV spots, it wouldn't be worth, unless there's some massive opportunity that is, unusual. It just wouldn't be worth the time spent to learn it. Now, if it's as simple as like there's an arbitrage opportunity and you just have to click the buttons, then sure. I'm joining a $5 sit and go. If y'all want to play with me, see how much I can win or lose. We'll fire out this bet. I have the ace of clubs, which doesn't matter too much, but it's something, and I have a gut shot. I have 2 overs. Jonathan, you have any election bets? We'll go ahead and stab here. 10-9 flush. Draw. And we will get called as sit and go starts. Or sorry, we will call. We get raised. Um, on a board like this, you're doing a lot of bet folding because you just have a lot of air. So when you have a flush draw, you continue. And then here on the turn, you can go with the small bet now or wait till the river. Wait. The I'm not feeling great about it on the river, to be honest. But half pot only has to work a small fraction at a time. There we go. So nines, we're going to raise. Let's go to 80. Three. Let's raise this too. I want to try to steal a lot of blinds in this sit and go. It's not the best hand, but I'm going to start betting. See if I can turn something. I wasn't necessarily planning to turn the queen, but turn a draw. Now with less than 3 times pot, it gets kind of weird. I'm going to check and see what happens. Potentially look to get one street of value on the river. Instead, I face 20 chip bets, which actually puts me in a weird spot where it's like, do I want to raise? And no, I'm just going to call. Right table, I could have done something with this, but you're not really supposed to, I think. Now we face the pot bet. I mean, it looks a lot like a 10 from Princeton. Yeah, I'm going to let Princeton take this one. Ace Queen 7 deuce. Let's check this one back. It's not going to improve to a hand. I'm at 3 street very often. It does get to call the turn a lot. Can't see. Yeah, seeing the app in dollars. It is as an American, I like seeing it in dollars. So here, like, this is a leveling spot. With no flush draws, I'm just gonna check. This is a leveling spot though, where I probably have the best hand, but it's hard to get called. Usually it's gonna be, I mean, I'm cheating because I saw it, but usually it's gonna be a bluff that they've given up on or a hand that's river to jack. And so what you have to do is bluff with hands weaker than a jack, like a pocket pair that you call with, and a lot of people don't find that bluff. Let's go ahead and bet. I said I was going to steal blinds, but I fold the 5-4. You go either way on this flop. Bet call. Plastic says, I wonder if quantum computers will help online poker or damage it. Oh no, I was supposed to play every hand. Sorry. Now we face a small lead from a player who's been very tight pre-flop over a few hands. I'm gonna fold ace 10. Yeah, Moonlight says can't really make it better, I think. No real idea. That's kind of my stance too. I don't think it's necessarily, I'm not going to make a bold prediction that it's going to make it worse, but I also think that if it's going to be one of those, more likely to be the worst one. All right, so Gunner led deuces there. That's worth keeping in mind. I'm going to try to show down 9-7 here rather than bluff with it. Okay. This time I remember to play every hand. I have to call this with 6 in the gut shot, but I'm not beating value, and it just feels like value. So I'm not feeling good about it. Here I'm going to shove Jack 7. I think people tend to fold too much when they're not strong sit and go players. Not that I know that about these people, but it's my guess. So even 5-6 there, it's a really thin turn bet from Hadley, but it's not bad by any means. And it owned me. Ace deuce, I'm actually going to shove as well. That might be a little too wide. Let's see bet this weak hand. A lot of backdoors. We turned a backdoor. The question is, do we want to bet it or just? I think we do. We have a 4, but we don't have ace 5 and a 6. So like those are folding a lot. They like ace 5 gut shot, ace 5 deuce, things like that. It's a weird amount of equity to get check raised on the turn with, but you can't play every spot worried about being raised. Sorry, I keep not being conscious of where my head is in the frame. I just remembered settings. Just remembered my favorite setting on Rowan's Poker. I hope we still have it. Probably should have bet that hand, but I'm trying to do something else. And I guess we fold. Well, what is this? Hadley's repping an ace. Does Hadley have an ace? Sure. I mean, a lot of aces play that way. Mm. So there's a setting that I'm trying to add now. Excuse me for the delay, but hopefully that works. We'll see it. So this hand is a really good check raising candidate. So I might as well check raise. It's just like you have a lot of good cards. So there are a lot of runouts on which you end up bluffing with a hand like this. Whoops. This one is a check. Fold. Nice hand. Jacks, we're going to bet. Oh, I got bluffed. Nice hand, Hadley. I said I was going to play every hand, so I'm play that. So this is the feature. It auto. You can select the bet size that your hand auto whatever's to. Bet small. Okay, I have all the 5s. That's too bad. All right. All the 5s. We're going to bet for value unless the board changes. To be fair, on this board, most of the rivers bring a straight. Queen 8 suited. Let's just rip it in. Maybe up against Jack 10. Like this is close. This is close. Jack 10, 7, 14, 15%. This is a value bet in theory. You just need to get called enough, hopefully. I'm going to be beat like 15% of the time here. and you need to be good like 20% of the time to make it, or sorry, you need to be beat less than 20 to make it a value bet for pot. It's up against, well, king queen. We didn't see the hand. Oh, there it is. King queen. Makes perfect sense. King 10 8 forward, check. So the math that I just did there, if you watch Foundations, my course, you'll get the idea of like you'll get what that's from, kind of. Especially if you watch This Is PLO, but I'm not advising everybody buy that. It's very expensive. Um, but basically, that's what I'm talking about in terms of pulling heuristics from solvers, learning how strong or weak. I'm gonna check this. It's like good enough to value bet, but it's also just crushing bluffs. So let's let bluffs bluff. And on the left table, I don't know. I'm getting such good pot odds. I'm gonna call again. I mean, I'm gonna call. Just when people are using sizing like this, like they're they're doing something wild enough, often enough that it's worth the 7 to 1 or whatever. Ace 10, nice hand. I'm gonna check this back. I need to start shoving almost any two there, given how short I am. Here, close on the turn. Now I have nuts. Sometimes people get tricky in half pot here, but you're not getting check raised by 7-6, so it doesn't accomplish all that much. JVT, glad you like the graphics. Thank you. The team also designed the stream graphics that are really cool. I'm just going to briefly switch to one table to show you. I don't know if that animation was smooth, but on my end, not as much. So here with aces will be weird, and min raise. Don't, I mean, you should just shove any hand that you want to play there. But eights, just going to try to show down, probably lose. Yeah, I'm not going to call with eights. So Gunner's been very passive. I'm actually, well, I guess ace six I have to shove. I don't know. I'm going to start limping a lot. Easy call for 3-bet with double suited nines with an ace. Good flop for me. Kind of felt like a confident bet. I think it's just a call. Can get awkward on a lot of turns. Not that one. So now we just get it in. Good luck, Hadley. Oh, wow. I was going to say I feel bad for Hadley, but I don't. So that's good. Nice hand. Getting king 10 here. I'm called. At the ace 4, I'm in trouble. I've got some outs. There we go. Yeah, pretty fun cooler. Top set versus second set plus nut flush draw. I'm just gonna, yeah. I mean, Gunner's been passive enough, and I want to play post flop, but I don't know. I think I can just steal a lot of blinds when I'm in the small blind, and then get to see a lot of free flops when I'm in the big blind. That's the hope. And like this could bet the flop, but I think it's not a very good bet. And even on the turn, having no straight cards, it's not a great bluffing hand, in my humble opinion. And now I do need to bet. It's just too low in my range. A7, let's get it in. So this is, I mean, I may or may not win this, obviously, but this is why you don't play, when you play really passively, um, it becomes really hard to win a sit and go when you play passively. So you just get the blind stolen again and again and again, and then you get like your stack dwindles. So right table is interesting. This flop is supposed to be c-bet essentially 100% of the time for out of position. I'm not sure what to make of the check. I'm reading it as weakness, but so I'm going to go ahead and bet. I think like a hand like nines or eights, like maybe ace, 8, 8, 6 double suited with diamonds, something like that makes sense. And I have a really good bluffing combo. I kind of just don't think my opponent has the hand I want her to have. Like maybe Jack 9, 8 makes sense. It's a really good bluffing combo. But I just worry that I'm up against like pair plus flush draw too often. I give up. Okay. I was not expecting to see kings. I thought that dry kings would bet the turn. Nice hand. I mean, Gunner's been so passive. I'm just going to fold the 10 here. And Smits. Welcome. So I check called on the right, just because like this hand's actually not. I mean, it's the nuts on the flop, but the board's going to change a lot. It's not an amazing hand. Now I'm going to pot the river for value with second nuts. Get raised with Jack 10. I'm actually going to call and see a flop, and let's just see what we want to do. I'm going to open jam because I think this player's. Is that what I'm going to do? Yeah, this player's pretty passive. So I don't think I'm going to induce enough bluffs. We got it in pretty bad here against eights. But the preflop call was, good against eights, even though we could have assumed that we were up against a pretty good hand. Queen 3, I mean, we're just shoving everything at 5 big blinds when this player's folding like 70%, it seems. We bet bottom pair in a gut shot, we get check raised. Feels like a close one. Close one. Call. We're very often up against a set or a straight here now on this turn. We have 2 pair. I mean, we're going to check. That's a very clear check. Just seeing if I can hand read. Okay, finally makes a stand with 7-6 and gets there. Okay, we shot. Lucky me. I mean, this looks like 5-4 or a set, I guess. Looks very believable. I look like I have 2 pair, and I do. I don't know. I believe it. Nice hand, Hadley. Oh, I got owned. I've been making a lot of incorrect guesses about what Hadley has, and the way she's playing. So I need to update my assumptions. Moonlight says the audio fades out during the transition. Good to know. Michael D, thank you very much. Yes, we made the rule that we're not folding pre, except when I forget. And this is what we get when we decide not to fold pre. Bottom set on an ace high board. Easy call. Not looking to raise and get this in right now. Turn, we are, we're going with it. Go 2/3 pot is a nice sizing in this situation. Maybe even half pot is good to keep in the stuff, and we have to call it off. be up against ace nine or some kind of combo draw, but we are not. Oh no. So the problem is, the problem is I lost, but I had enough money to rebuy to a smaller amount, but because I had auto rebuy on it. Oh no, you have to rebuy to full, which I like as a rule, but unfortunately we lose the table, which is a problem because we can't get it back without a third player. So let me think. Let me think. Maybe I could take. All right, let's see what happens on this sit and go. Nice hand, Hadley, by the way. And I think well played there with the aces. So like this is an example of a hand that is a good shove against somebody who's folding a lot, but also against somebody passive. I just want to see a flop. Now against the min raise, I guess I call one more big blind. See if I flop something. See if I get to showdown with it. Or I mean, get to see a turn, get to make my hand. There we go. I think just shove. I mean, it's kind of obvious if I go really small. Whatever, I'll go really small. The only problem with this, well, other than it's obvious, is that sometimes I get called and the river's like jack of clubs and then they fold a pair that they were going to go with on the turn. So after this didn't go, I will, I guess probably redeposit. So, I mean, I'm getting a lot to one. I'm going to call. We're going to play some post-flop poker. And that's us. I probably should have just bet. So I don't see gunner betting no pair here. Maybe. Okay. Maybe. No, middle pair. All right. What do we win? The longer the sweat is, the better. Ah, needed a longer sweat. GG. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to redeposit so that that doesn't happen again. I'm going to try to get back in on the higher stakes tables. So I'll see you in just a few minutes. I guess, hey, I guess the quick break animation doesn't last very long, which is unfortunate because you guys just saw a black screen for a while. All right, we got some money back. We have almost 4K now, so it'll be harder to bust our roll. I will sit back at the 1K PLO, but I have the feeling I'm not going to get back in there. I'll sit at 500 PLO as well. And I'll sit at the no limit too. I'm not trying to hustle people at PLO. I'll sit at 500 no limit. If somebody in the stream wants to play 1K no limit, I'll do that too. I just don't want to open a million tables. So we got just taking a look at the lobby. We got stuff running. We got 100. A lot of people at 100. I think I'll play there. Yeah, let's play 2 tables, 100 no limit, and let's see how many. See if we can help grow the 100 no limit field. Um, Thank you, everybody who stayed around. Andrew Rivers says, nice to hear Phil updating his priors like a good Bayesian. I don't remember what that's in reference to, but I am a good Bayesian, and I appreciate that. Sure, we'll go ahead and bet. Peter says, congrats on the launch, moving to Lancaster next year from Michigan. Can't wait to check out the software. Awesome. Excited for you to check it out too. It is a lot of fun to play on. I'm biased, but I think it's a lot of fun to play on. I could kind of keep getting some value protection here for small sizing, but I'll check. Phil goes to borrow 2K from his sister. Yeah. Michael asks if anybody's got bets going on in the election. I don't. Curious if anybody else does. I was trying to check actually if the lines are moving yet. November 5th. It looks like they're moving in Trump's favor. November 4th. No, it's been kind of the same so far today. That was just happening in the week leading up to today. The reason I'm checking betting sites because I'm not watching news coverage, so I don't know what's going on with if any votes are getting counted yet. I actually am not trying to make this an election stream. I just assume that a lot of people today are very interested in it. Thanks for sticking with me, guys, through the disconnect. 22 players in the pool here. I guess we have a lot of full tables. For me to not get a second seat with 22 players in the pool, 4 tables running. So that's, well, yeah, 3 here plus me is 4. And then there are 3 more tables of 6 equals 18 more. So that's 22 players. So we will need, well, somebody to open some extra tables or somebody to leave one of those tables. I don't think it'll take too long. Check what else is going on here on BetRivers Poker. We do have a second player in the 500 PLO lobby. So if somebody wants to join 500 PLO, we would get that started. And while this isn't my most watched stream, presumably going up against the election is not best practice. But the 100 some of you here, it's a great opportunity to ask me some questions at a time when I have the capacity to answer. Mostly, I'm sure I've missed a couple. Speaking of which, Scott Fulmer asked, will there ever be mystery bounty attorneys? Yes, that is on the list. And if me pull up the feature request thing. Oh, I've been quoting this wrong. So there's, I'm pasting it now. I guess it's not listed on here, but we do have a feature request page, which I'm going to post here in response to, I'll just post it. And it's a few minutes ago, so you'll see it's, if you look up. But yes, bounties is something on the list. It's not listed here, but it is planned. So I don't think you do a lot of fast playing on this board because when I defend the big blind, I don't have ace king. I don't have any of the sets. So I can't really, like, I don't have that many value hands I can raise. Basically just queen jack and ace 10. So I think just no check raises is the way I would play this spot. GK, we do not have open face Chinese or open face pineapple. No plans to do so at the moment. But if you want it, put it on the feature request page. Here with Queen Jack, I'm not really sure what to do. I'm gonna go ahead with I'm gonna check. Like for Crew to bet this flop, he shouldn't have a lot of just ace five. I do expect to see some sets, some boats, so some boats rather, some sets and two pair on the flop, as well as some bluffs potentially. You don't expect a lot of 10x and king x to bet, so it's kind of just like air, a little bit of ace x, a little bit of jack x, and then some potential, or sorry, some boats that you're up against. Well, it was air on the flop, turn to jack. That makes sense. Go ahead and raise ace queen. Scoot forward, get a little comfortable. Do we want to raise 7-6? Why not? Let's play a bigger pot. Here with ace queen, do I want to bet this flop with everything? No. And it's a pretty good checking hand. It's a decent betting hand too. Like you want to have some queen X in your betting range and one of this. So this, I raise the limp. I get led into on ace king five. I'm just going to fold 7-6. Bet here with ace queen. And on the river, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, to be perfectly honest. Looks like more people are joining the pool to get into games with me. We got 23 in the pool now. How many 100 NL games can we get running on night number 6 on BetRivers Poker? I'll sit in another one. I want to get us to. Okay, somebody left, so that table joined or started quicker than I wanted it to. Whatever. I want us to get to 40 players. 40 players in the pool. We're at 24. What do you all think? I mean, we got limpers galore, so hop on in. Water is warm. Drizzle asks where I stream. So I as of late I've only streamed on YouTube, but in talking to the team, I might I tried once to multi-stream on Twitch and YouTube, and I had some technical issues. This was like 6 months ago. I'm gonna try it a different way, I think, if I have time to set it up tomorrow. Um, so I'm gonna continue streaming here, I think, but I'm gonna try to add Twitch as I think it might work out better. Now we also have PLO. I kind of want to stay on the two table view with overlap. Let me know if you guys like that idea or hate that idea. I can also, I guess I need to call this. I can also go to the four table view I don't really want to drop a table as I wanted us to get to 40 no limit, 40 tables of $100 no limit. I mean, I think this, God, it's not a very good bluffing hand, but nothing missed. So trying to bluff him off of like a 9-8 type hand. Kasparov with my early poker career was like, you know what? I don't necessarily want you to leave the stream, but there's a documentary that um, we put out, or docu-series we put out here on my YouTube channel that I think turned out really well. The first episode covers some of that, and then it gets into some more really interesting things, including kind of the story that led us here to BetRivers Poker launch. Um, it's called Galfond. If you look back at my YouTube channel, it's probably just 5 videos ago. I would recommend watching that, and you'll get the answers you seek. Here, facing the turn bet. I mean, I don't feel great about it. In theory, this is a call. I'm going to make the fold. Just think people miss some bluffs in that spot. Here goes limp under the gun. Or was that a post? I'm not sure. And then raise call from this player who's playing every hand. Let's sneak in there and see if we can do some damage. Face the donk here. I'm just going to fold the low end of this straight draw. And let's see. Medgi asks about the 1K deposit bonus, first deposit bonus. Gets released over time. It's a drip bonus, as we call it in the biz. The actual mechanics of it, wow, overbet. There's some interesting, tricky and interesting play going on thus far on the site. Mechanics of it, I don't know exactly, but it's not an instant bonus. It will take time, which is what you'll find on I believe on every other competitor in PA, but I could very well be wrong, so don't quote me on that. Damien, who's getting sentenced to some prison time tomorrow, expecting 3 to 5 years, asking what I think poker will look like in 3 to 5 years. Um, best of luck to you, Damien. Um, I I think it will. I think it'll be in a pretty good place actually in 3 to 5 years. As more and more of these um, businesses like I mean it's Rush Street Interactive RSI, but BetRivers is the platform that we're playing on that you would know about. I'm going to float here with Queen Jack. As more of them get poker, there's more incentive for them to lobby for poker in more states, and I think we'll see more and more states joining both making poker legal and regulated, but as importantly, joining the MSIGA and pooling players, which allows for more liquidity and just like everything to go better. I think I win with Queen Jack here, but I think it's too thin to raise. It's actually kind of close. If I know this player well, I could raise, but I'm not really sure enough. 10-7, that's very thin. I was expecting a strong 10, but good to know. I use that for now. Moonlight Master prefers 4. DJM says, thank you for streaming, letting me escape the division in this stupid political day. Thank you. You're very welcome. Yeah, it's an escape for me too. The division is very annoying and makes me very worried for not just this country, but humanity. I got all the 9s. I'm going to slow play. And think I'm going to go to the 4 table view, but let's just do this. All the nines. I guess I'm going to check the turn as well. Hoping to get a bet from a 7. I'm trying to decide if I want to raise or call if I face a bet. I think I want to raise because a 7's not going to fold. A draw might not fold too. So let's raise. Yeah. Just like I see a lot of 1-street bluffs there. So I wanted to go for. Um, let's keep it at 2 table. And I'll just have one off screen that's going. And if something crazy interesting happens, I will bring it into focus. And 3-bet kings with an ace. Suited ace at that. I think it's just check back. I would expect to see some leads from strong hands on 9-6-4, but it's still just an awkward amount of equity to bet. And we're going to keep checking. Hope to well, hope to win the hand, but I just don't think there's enough value to be had on the turn. Easy value bet on the river. Half pot, 3/4 pot, even full pot is okay. Less work, more travel has a question about focus at the live poker tables. When playing live, I find myself losing concentration when watching other players' showdowns. Observing every hand in a long session leads to burnout. Any suggestions for a middle ground? Breaks. So yeah, I think it's important to be realistic with yourself. Um, Going for the check raise here, of course, with the straight. Not of course, like that's the clear play, but obviously once I check, I'm check raising. It is important to be realistic with yourself. So you make a very good point that you burn out if you observe every single showdown. I would suggest some kind of triggers that kind of re-engage you. So what I mean by that is um, whether it's like some kind of alarm on, I mean, that's going to be annoying if, if it's a loud alarm every 15 minutes to kind of perk up and pay attention for a few more hands. Or one thing you could do is pick a couple of players, like pick 2 players in a in the, in a night and watch their showdowns. So like when they see the flop, pay attention, and when they fold and you fold, just zone out and recover. So super strong draw on the turn, easy bet. Now gets a little awkward on the river in that it's a little bit hard to get called, and people are going to bluff. Like he's going to have a lot of King X clubs and a lot of King of Clubs X to raise this river with as a bluff. He says YOLO. Okay, YOLO call is good. YOLO raise is less good. Up against the straight. No club with a king. King is good to call with. Hearts are bad. Straight is bad. I think, or no clubs, I should say. It's not good. I think that's slightly minus EV theoretical call, but fine to make in practice, especially if you have any kind of indication that your opponent might be bluffing a little bit too much. 14-14 player has been very tight. Let's just try to steal a pot pre-flop, even though they've V-pipped. Go for the half pot C-bet. Take it down. Usually players who are tight pre-flop are also going to be fit or fold on the flop. So even when you get called there, it can work out in your favor. This hand, I don't know if this is a call or not, but we could sneak in there. It's not. It's certainly not terrible. Will Europeans be able to play BetRivers in the future? Not in the near future. Oops, I misclicked on my table that you can't see. Um, Not in the near future. There are no plans for that. The kind of near future plans are to expand into other regulated U.S. states, but never say never. Do you think an online McCoskey, do you think an online poker site that mimics social clubs in Texas using a time-based pay instead of rake would be feasible and or legal? Um, I think it would be legal. I'm not sure. Feasible? Yeah. I tend to think that it. I think it's not going to go as well. I think the reason that it works in Texas because it's the only way that's allowed. But I think that if both options were available, I'm just going to slow play this. If both options were available, you would end up seeing casinos use or card rooms use regular rake. The reason being, when you charge time, people pay attention to it. They can't not be aware of the rake. But when you just take it out of each pot, a lot of the players who are playing recreationally just don't notice. So, um, so like you get to nice hand, nice hand. Um, yeah, they don't notice, and so like if you can charge them money without them noticing, like the card room's going to want to do that because they're going to get more play from them. Um, so I don't think it's going to work great. It's certainly feasible. Like it makes sense as a model. Like there's nothing about it as a model that is doesn't make sense. It's all about perception, really. And I think the perception is not going to be as good because you're going to have players very consciously aware of how much they're paying in rake because it comes out of their account every half hour or whatever the case may be. Whereas in these pots, it doesn't even look like it comes out. So this is a pretty good bluffing hand on the turn. I'm trying to make him fold straights. I'm trying to make him fold some weak flushes, and I'm also potentially if he calls with a straight, let's say, with like one straight plus like a straight plus a diamond, and then the board pairs on the river, and I check, he's reasonably likely to bluff. So it's one of those weird spots where bluffing with a set makes sense. And I could have had the best hand, but I also make a lot of better hands fold. I have equity when called. Blah blah blah. But in Koski, I don't know if you've seen my post about Rake. We are doing something pretty radical here at Bet Rivers. We're going to try to give all of the Rake back to the players. We're going to try to make no money. Um, from the poker operation directly. And I explain that in a post that maybe somebody can link. We've been given a short time span to prove that the model works, and we absolutely need support from players who are in Pennsylvania and support from players who are outside of Pennsylvania who would like to see a model where the rake goes back to the players in its entirety, or is planned to go back to players in its entirety. Or I guess I should say, there are so many, like I have to be careful what I say technically, um, be technically legally correct. This just makes a good check call hand. Interesting bluff with sixes. I think it's a good bluff. But anyway, I'll say it correctly. A site that aims to give away all that it collects, all of its potential net revenue um, from poker. If you like the idea of that and you're outside of Pennsylvania, first of all, during these first few months, you could visit Pennsylvania and play. Second of all, talk about it. You could tell your friends who are in Pennsylvania. You could talk on social media, on poker forums, about how you like the idea. And you could urge people who are in Pennsylvania to move their play over to Bet Rivers, especially if they also play casino games, if they bet sports. Because if this works in Pennsylvania, the plan is to stick with it If we can prove it works, plan is to stick with it and then expand with the same system into other states and hopefully change the way that online poker rake works entirely. Megdi, have you talked to any PA regs about ideas for the site on how you can make it best? Uh, kind of. I mean, I'm always. So I'm going to go for bet call here. This is a spot where like a lot of straights would bet, and this is a spot where he should have a lot of boats that value raise and bluff and like some bluff raises as well. So I'm going to go for the bet 3-bet with 9-8. I've talked to some, but the the like my whole thing, poker community knows they can reach me, and that's kind of the point of uh, me as ambassador. Is that I want to hear from everybody and I want to incorporate what players think. So the PA regs know how to get a hold of me, specifically on X. So that's why. Unlucky. Looks like I was up against a boat, most likely. 9-7. Yeah, super cooler. Cooler. EKW saying, yeah, the pools within each state are already split for sure. There are 4 poker sites in Pennsylvania. More competition is good in a way, but it also is potentially problematic for the reasons you're mentioning. It seems like an okay pot bluff with 4 outs to improve. Um, I think that once states combine, they can obviously support multiple sites. But yes, if on their own they can individually support multiple sites with with high traffic to many of them, no, it's tough, and it's a great point. That's a great point. I think this can I could small bet this, but I think check call works pretty well. Moonlight Master, interesting question. If I think there could ever be a combined player pool with different sites having to offer cross play so that people could play, like a Poker Stars and a BetRivers combine their tournament pools and so on and so forth. I think it seems so unlikely to happen just because there are so many moving parts and it's just really really complicated. I think in theory something like that does make sense for the obvious reasons that just like the player pools get bigger. But now there are just so many weird things. We got 25 in the no limit 100 pool. I want to get to 40. Let's get to 40, guys. Um, there's so many weird business considerations like weird spot with 4 deuce. Yeah, I guess I keep going. I keep going. Blast off probably. Um, there's so many weird considerations like okay, if we offer the same tournaments or the same everything, now each site is incentivized to like find a way to get players to move from one to the other, even though the games are the exact same. And in order for the games to be the exact same, you need to have a kind of like a software. You need to have like the same, a lot of pieces of software that are the same, like the same back office software. It's just really, I can't see it happening. Um, if not for all of the logistical concerns, or like specifically, like, put this. I'm glad to see that the blocker bluff worked. Happy to take that down. Um, yeah, I don't know how to describe the logistical concerns, but it's just way too messy. I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. If it were as simple as 2 sides make an agreement, and they to try it out, they combine their Sunday tournaments, and they could just kind of snap their fingers and do that. Then I could see some trials like that happening, and it'd actually be really interesting because let's say like now in Pennsylvania there are four different sites, and if they're all kind of splitting liquidity and there's no kind of clear winner, if two of the smaller ones combined, or like the second and the fourth combined, or the second, third, and the fourth, they would overtake the leader. Actually, like just by definition, if you're taking traffic away from the leader, then you're gaining. Um, However, to do that, you would need to build like I'm not a technical founder. I ran a poker site, but I don't know the ins and outs of how to build the code base. But my from the limited amount I do know, I know that like part of the software is the back office where you've got all the player accounts and you've got like the tournament rules and structure and like just all the mechanisms to run the tournament. Um, and you can't just have two sites combine their user facing tournaments without getting on the same page in the back office. And it just sounds really, really complicated. So it'd be a huge undertaking. So for that reason, they wouldn't do like a quick trial. Um, and to do it in a big way, I mean, I just can't imagine with these huge companies that they can get something like that approved. Um, let's see. How do you like the software? Not so. What are you saying? I might need a gesture to play on stream as well. It doesn't crush. Yeah. I can't. I like don't want to. I don't want to beat everybody, but I can't play bad. And also, like y'all are watching, I'll try to play a little loose. Daniel asked if an integrated HUD would fly in Nevada if you open there. Yeah. So there's a no HUD rule. I think that it would be okay with the built-in HUD, but it might not be. A lot of the how do I put this? A lot of regulations, like so you would think, obviously the point of that regulation is to not allow people to get an unfair advantage by using an external third-party HUD. So obviously an internal HUD that everybody has access to would not violate the spirit of that rule and whatever it says in writing, they would interpret it in the right way, or they would change it such that it would work the way that you would think it would work, and they would allow it. However, that's not really how it tends to work. Here on Queen Three Deuce Rainbow, it's just too hard for a three better to have two pair. So like even a weak Queen Deuce just gets in. Um, but the way it really works is a lot of people writing the laws don't really understand the game, and when they review the laws, they also like the people reviewing them and the people who would make this decision don't really understand, and so that leads to some illogical conclusions. So I don't know for sure. I would hope so. Jasper asked what the most valuable things are for poker improvement: volume, books, solver, study, YouTube videos, etc. So the good luck, Gavin. No, I didn't say good luck in time, but he got there. Nice hand. I did want to lose that. Nice hand, nice hand. Um, what you should use to improve depends on a lot of things. One of the biggest factors is where you're at in your poker journey. Another huge factor is how you learn best. People learn best in very different ways. I've now worked with a lot of students on like a smaller scale, like smaller scale basis, and so I get to talk to them more. And I'm finding more and more that people just learn very differently, and what works for some does not work for others. So those two things matter a lot. And then also, I guess the one strong opinion that I have about it, and keep in mind I'm incentivized to have this belief, but I just really, really, truly, firmly believe it, is if you're planning to play poker for any real amount of time, invest some real money in your poker education. Let's overbet here with the gut shot. And we'll small bet the straight here. I think it could maybe pot this straight. It's maybe a little too thin. We get jammed on by Bentley. Let's just tell him nice hand. Don't want to make him sweat too long, but I like to get the chat in there. We get raised here as well. We don't have a. I kind of find this hard to believe. It might be. I don't. So like, he checked with a jack or he checked with king. I don't know if I believe it. Maybe ace 10. Yeah. So I actually want to highlight that hand as a really important learning opportunity. So here he had king 10 5, which makes this like he blocks king, he blocks king jack, he blocks jack 5, he blocks 5 5. So like, and he blocks some straights with the 10, which makes it a good, like a really good raising hand. And I think that his raises with that specifically good of a raising hand, I think it's good. Um, but you have to be really careful with those because of how few value combos you rep. So, like I said, I don't think he bets flop and checks turn with a lot of king. Some, but not a lot. I don't think he bets flop and checks turn with a lot of king jack, like almost ever. And then ace 10, I'm not sure that he raises. So he might, but I'm not sure. And so there are not a lot of value hands that make sense. So you have to be really restrictive with your bluffs. And Gavin might have a range that is perfect there. Like I think that that specific hand, blocking the king and the 10 and the 5, um, fits into a kind of optimal bluffing range. Um, he might even underbluff. But all that said, you got to be careful in that spot. Looks like he's going to take off. GG. Can't find it. There we go. Good game. So I think I finished my thought. Oh yeah, maybe I didn't. Yeah, invest in yourself. Invest in your poker education, and this is true whether you're a poker player or in any other line of work. And spend some money on learning your craft. I think it's absolutely nuts, to be honest, that people are so like, man, I don't know, that course is $100. Like, do you know how much time you're going to waste not learning from somebody who's spent like years and years learning that craft, and then hours and hours putting it into a video that if the course or a video course that if the course is aimed at the level you're at is perfect in their opinion for your education in that area, like you save so much time, you make back so much more um, in future gains, again, whether it's poker or any other craft, or line of work or whatever. Yeah, I just think it's so obvious to me that when people argue, so this player has 0% raise over 30 hands, I'm going to count that as significant. We'll go this color maybe. This player too, Edward, 0 raises over 22 hands. So yeah, I just like it's a little frustrating because when people, like, let's say I release a course, or I'm promoting a run-at-once course that is not mine, and people are like, why spend your money on courses you can learn on your own, or they're free YouTube videos? Like, it makes me mad because I can't really, mad's the wrong word. I don't get mad. It makes me frustrated because I can't, it just sounds like I'm self-interested if I argue that it's obviously worth it, but it's so obvious. It's a stance that I disagree with so strongly that I don't like that I can't argue from a place of it seeming very genuine. So Roberto, over 39 hands, has only raised 10%. That's very tight. This player has been limping a lot, so I could see this being an ISO, but probably with a strong hand. I am going to peel ace queen. I would fold ace jack offsuit here. I think this is a very tight range from Roberto. My master says, I think we'll see world peace before state legislatures understand the POCO ecosystem, let alone care about it. A little harsher than I would put it, but you know, I think we're probably up against like a jacks here. Jacks, nines, maybe ace king, ace queen, jacks, nines, ace king, ace queen. I don't think I want to value bet. I could value bet against that range actually. Mm, no, I want to see if I'm right. I listed four hands, I think. Jacks. Got it. You can get check raised by jacks there, but actually I would have called. So maybe I should have bet if I was going to bet call. Because I put them on four hands and none of them were value raises. Rise and Shine says, how much luck is in this game now since everyone knows what to do? Nobody knows what to do. I mean, both of our statements are not true, but um, the solvers making the games too tough is, I think that's a big misconception. I'm going to limp behind this player who's playing a lot of hands and playing them passively. I don't really want to raise 5-3 and get into a big pot, but I think this is worth going for. So yeah, I just don't think that like the fact that you can look up the right way to play, it gives more players false confidence than it makes experts out of them. So I bet small on the flop with threes. Now I turn a set. It's kind of interesting. Can I go two thirds, or is that too thin? I'm a little or a lot rusty at six max. Six max no limit. I think I can go two thirds for value. Maybe even pot river, but let's go two thirds, two thirds. Yeah, yeah, must be able to. You're up against pocket jacks. Okay. Sevens here is just going to be a fold. Nice hand, Allison. We would not have flopped a set, so good fold. Um, Poker asks, non-US players cannot play at BetRivers, at least not poker. BetRivers, I think under Rush Bet has some online casino and sportsbook operations. I was beat by both of them in Latin America, and maybe I don't know all the jurisdictions as well as I should. But poker right now, BetRivers Poker, is only in Pennsylvania. It's the first state that we're launching in, and we launched less than 1 week ago. It was actually 5 days ago. So, um, yeah, right now it's only here. We'll expand to more states as we go, or at least that's the plan. TJM says, yeah, agreed. Paying for courses helps an insane value. It's helped me so much in just 3 months. Won't name names out of respect. All right, I appreciate that. No, actually, you can name the names of a great course, even if it wasn't a course by my company. That's okay. I'd like the viewers to get a good education, get good recommendations if you have one. Ace eight offsuit. I am going to raise here. Both of the blinds don't raise pre-flop, so Like one of the things that happens when you have really passive opponents is that you get to raise a lot more, especially in late position, because even if you don't steal the blinds, they don't three bet, so they don't deny you your equity pre-flop. Here with ace jack, it'd be a reasonable turn bet, but against a loose passive player pre-flop, I expect them to be loose passive post-flop, and I think I'm going to get called too much on the turn by pairs. So either I get called by a pair or I have the best hand anyway, and I can win a showdown. Jasper, how did I build my knowledge? So I started with books. This is 20 years ago. I started with some books, then I found 2+2 forums, which is not what it used to be, um, where I talk strategy with a bunch of other players there. I made some poker friends. Making poker friends was the thing that advanced my poker game the most by far. Getting into a poker community, and that's actually to do a little self promotion. It's why um, I have two businesses working, like making poker communities to learn in. Beyond the Game is my group coaching program where you work with me personally. It's for high stakes players, more advanced players, not necessarily advanced, but players who play high stakes because not cheap. It's $8,000 a year, um, and we meet once a week on a 90-minute call for an entire year. There are also a lot of there's a community. Um, there's more involved too. I'll just leave it at that. Um, and then Run It Once launched a pilot program um, a few months back to test out something like a community, like a hands-on community learning environment led by coaches. And the trial went well. The players got a lot out of it, and so we're relaunching that. I won't share more details other than we are likely weeks away, not months away. So keep an eye on runotonce.com for that if you're interested in lower stakes group learning. That's it's targeted at low stakes live players. So like 1-2 no limit, 2-5 no limit, 1-3 no limit. It's specifically no limit and it's specifically live and specifically lower stakes. And the idea is to kind of give you everything you need to build your bankroll at those stakes and the community aspect. So again, that's one of the ways I learned. And then training videos. I launched a training site 12 years ago, Run It Once. We still have it. But before that, I watched videos on card runners. I watched on multiple sites, but card runners was the one I watched most. And yeah, like when I learned PLO at the beginning of that, it was mostly card runners videos from Brian Hastings and Brian Townsend. Brian Hastings, who now makes videos on Run It Once. But I probably learned more from him about PLO than any other video maker. I mean, I definitely did learn more from him about PLO than any other video maker. But then again, like all the biggest jumps in my game were based on poker friends working together, studying together. Nicholas Shea says most people have zero idea what they're looking at when they view a solve. Yeah, I agree. I mean, bit of hyperbole, but yeah, I think that players don't get it, and they think they do. They think they're learning something when they're just memorizing, or like they're just checking whether their individual hand was played well, which it still might not have been, even if the solver says it was. DJM says the game is still great, especially live. There are still so many people out there who make fun of people who study. It makes me laugh. Yeah, I realize it's contradictory to what I just said about what Nicholas said, but I agree with both of you. A lot of people look at solves and don't understand it. Also, people who say studying is dumb. Like there's something about poker that makes people think, oh, it's common sense. Like I know the rules, common sense. I'm smart. I get it. And everybody thinks they have common sense. Like, have you met somebody that thinks they don't have common sense? Because I haven't. So everybody thinks, yeah, like I know the rules. I played a little bit. I made a good hero call once. I have common sense. Like I get it. I get how people play. Why would you study? Like I know how to play poker. Why would you study? And to me, it's just like, I live in the world. I see how things move. Like when I drop a water bottle. I see how it falls. Why would I study physics? I understand physics. I don't need to learn physics to be a physicist. I observe. It's the same thing. But just like dropping a water bottle doesn't make you a physicist, playing a few hands of poker doesn't make you a great poker player. It does make you a poker player, though. Can't argue with that. DJM poker coaching. Yeah, good. I'm glad it helped you. I actually haven't watched the poker coaching stuff, but I am a fan of Jonathan, and I hear it's great stuff. So don't have to feel bad about mentioning a competitor. Yeah, Jasper. So same argument happened when chess got stronger computers. People thought, oh, this is the end of chess. It's going to get so boring. Everybody knows what to do. Um, and as you said, it only enriched the game in the end. I can't speak to that personally because I don't really follow the chess world, but story checks out to me. I would imagine that like more ways to study, and especially ways that like there are when you give people more ways to study, it gives them more reason to, first of all, enjoy the game, to get excited about improving, and third of all, to think they have an edge and like find a way that they could have an edge. Like a lot of people, there's a category of people who really struggle with like just a game where you go and guess the right way to play. This is not everybody; it's a minority, but a large minority of people, and having the having the security of knowing that you can go to a solver and get the real answers makes them so much more comfortable playing a game like poker or like chess, like and learning it. It just makes them so happy to have that certainty where they can find the actual answer. And so that attracts a segment to poker that many of them that might not have been interested in poker in the first place. We're up to 27 in the 100 NL pool. I'll add another table. I want to get to 40. It was I made it up as a target. Let's do it. Let's get to 40. I am now 28. So here we go. I guess for a little bit, we'll show you the four table view. And I'm gonna have to rearrange everything because oh, actually, there's a better way to do this. Um, one moment. We'll get there. Hang tight. All right, there we go. We'll put it for the sweat. I'll put it right here. 28 players. Let's get to 40. I'm gonna ask Twitter if they'll come help us get to 40. Problem with opening Twitter is that then I get distracted. I'll check fold queen jack. Against one player, I might see bet, but two players, no spade, nothing. raise it up. Should maybe go a little bit bigger with all those callers. Did I just time out somewhere? Um, I'm gonna fold. All right. We tweeted. How many are we at now? 30. Okay. I mean, my tweet didn't do anything. It just went out. But I think we're gonna. Okay, I'm gonna start being careful about raising the limps. Looks like Allison had sevens. What did Reina have? Jacks. So how did Reina play jacks? Reina calls my raise. Okay, and just calls. Okay. So Reina is passive. Here on this bottom table, we've got an under the gun limp from Chase and a min raise from Kevin. Like, all right, so Reina's passive. Allison, I don't really know. Don't really know about you, Allison. Chase, just gonna make some assumptions and we can update them as we go. Okay, let's see if I can catch up on some chat. Yeah, there's plenty of beginner. Cash Content Rio has some good beginner stuff as well. From the ground up is fantastic value. Yes, it is. Also, I came out with a course this last year called Foundations, which is for beginners, really in any game, but I use no limit hold'em examples of concepts. Andrew, I'm going to revisit that question, but I want to get to some quicker ones. McLaurin, as a winning player, I find it humbling how lackluster my results are compared to top tier players. They're clearly studying more and better, is what I mean. I'm curious what games you're winning in and why you don't want to study more. So Andrew Rivers, are some outputs from solvers basically worthless because the solution is derived from a bigger strategy, not just one-off answers, i.e. the solver has 3-betting 7-6 suited plus EV because its own strategy is balanced enough, but in your own game, this would be minus EV if you're not as balanced. Um, so it's more about how your opponents are going to react. So, right, you being unbalanced doesn't matter if your opponents play exactly like a solver. Then the EV of 3-betting 7-6 suited is going to be exactly the same as it would be on a solver. Um, so it's really about how your opponents play, not how you play. Now, playing against anyone decent, if you adjust your strategy, then opponents are going to adjust theirs. But one of the things that you might be thinking about is if you here's a fold, if you we're down to 28 players. Come on, guys. If you play an unbalanced strategy, you are exploitable, and they can. So as a result, you make yourself exploitable by not having the other parts of your range the same as the solvers potentially. Um, well, actually, almost surely, or surely, but in a way that's potentially hard to take advantage of. But in practice, it doesn't necessarily matter how exploitable you are. It matters what your opponents are doing. So I'm kind of repeating myself, but 7-6 suited there doesn't become. I'm going to bet here. 7-6 suited doesn't become a worse 3-bet because you're not 3-betting the other hands unless your opponents react to that. Now that I hit the jack, it's going to be a check and hope to win against 10 or 9. Or like an ace of spades that decides not to bluff. Cool. Nice. Lucas, ready for the political ads to go away? Yes, I am. We were up against ace of spades that didn't bluff. It's one of the ones I was hoping for. I think the ace of spades needs to bluff there. Nicholas says, watching Phil play while listening to Henry do Triton commentaries bringing me back to lockdown and the Galfon Challenge streams. Yeah, Henry's fantastic. I didn't even know Triton was on right now. I'm assuming it is if you're watching the stream. Wonder what Pappy Van Winkle is up to these days. Yeah, I do too. DJM, 5 favorite music artists. I could not, it would take me like 3 hours and I still couldn't come up with a five. And that's not because I have so many favorites, because I don't pay a lot of attention. It's not like a high passion part of my life compared to most. Like podcasts too, I don't have time to listen to anything in my day. Um, because I don't commute and I'm always working or with my family. Just trying to decide if I'm going to lead 5-8. Let's see if, like, I think a check raise looks like, I think leading this flop looks really, really strong because if you get here with like even 7-6 or like 9-7, I think you just check and hope that it gets checked around. Um, I guess we're calling the 3-bet here. Allison, who's been 3-betting a lot over a very small sample, right? 9% is actually not that much. I mean, it's normal. And 62 hands is not that small sample. Tofu says, wow, Phil not playing PLO. I'm not, because I want to get us to 40 players and 100 NL. We're at 31. Absolutely nothing's going to happen if we hit my target, but I'm going to be happy. And hopefully you will be happy for me. Fold here. I mean, I think I have the best hand with 7-8. The question is, do I want to? Yeah, I think I want to protect it. And now I just show down. Raise queens. We're up against ace queen high. Good 3-bet. Well played post. Nothing you can do there differently. Top set's not bad. So both of these players are really passive pre-flop. 42-0 over 62 hands, 44-3 over 53 hands. So I can't really count on them to do much. I still want to check back and let them hit something because they're also not the type to check raise bluff. At this point, though, I got to hope they have a pair and are going to find a call. I can't just wait. I mean, I can wait. I think it's higher EV to just try to put some money in now and hope for the best. Because like I'm not going to use a lot of bluffs. I'm not going to get them to check raise the river. It's just hard to. If I want to get 2 streets in, I kind of have to do it myself. And generally, I would not slow play a lot on the flop, but on like a board that dry and like where the side cards are that low, just felt like checking back 1 street, letting them connect with the draw or some kind of, you know, 10 like mid pair would be helpful. Will this site allow HUDs? No, we don't allow third-party HUDs, but we do have this built-in HUD, kind of as part of that HUD prevention policy, which I've talked about at length back when we were running Once Poker. You can even probably find my old posts on it. I won't go on a long rant right now. We're back down to 30. Let's get to 40. Gyro, long time no see. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. 30 players, guys. That's all we need, or that's all we have. We only need 10 more. which means if you're playing, just add a table, add 3 tables. So I want I want to add a table. The problem is with my setup, the spot where you could see it is covered by my laptop, and I can't move it because that's my webcam. So, or my webcam is sitting on top of it rather. Let me see what would happen. Oh, it's actually not as bad as I thought. Shocking, like barely moved. Okay, we'll add a 4th table. So I've got us up to 31. I think I should maybe also hop around because some people would like to play with me. And if they're not at my table now, then joining, I don't know, still hop in the pool. And when someone leaves one of these tables, you get the seat. Min raise. I mean, I want to play pots with these passive players. So I'm going to get in there. We're up to 33 players. Let's do it. MK, once word gets out on sports promos for poker play, sounds tremendous. Yeah, I hope so. The Moonlight, if you're able to, could you find the, well, actually, it's just, I'll put it in. Um, Galfon.link/rake is the link for the post that I made about our crazy rake promotion. Drew Smith says, what a beautiful UI. Assuming that's the Drew Smith that I think it is. Good to see you, man. Drew Smith designed this interface in 20, I mean, it's had some changes, but 2016, maybe 2017, 2016, 2017. Um, I mean, I just believe Edward. I'm going to fold. And also in like a day, I remember Drew was at my house in Vegas with a few of the Run It Once crew, and we were doing some work and talking design, and he put together this exact background. Um, it might have been slightly, was it this exact background? Anyway, basically this, um, with some avatars that look similar to this. We ended up like he used examples, but they were very similar to this. I think it was. I think it was one day. Your legacy lives on, Drew, and well deserved. Four is easy fold. We're up to 35 players. Brian says, "Hey Phil, did you say something yesterday about having an issue with downloading the plugin geolocator for your laptop?" Sort of. I downloaded the plugin just fine, and I had a couple of geolocation issues. This is not a BetRivers issue, by the way. This is a every site geolocation issue. I went through the troubleshooting and fixed. Well, yeah, I fixed it. Um, so check out. So if you have trouble with that, just email support at BetRivers, and hopefully they can help you with that too. And also check the help center to um, to find some docs on getting that sorted. That's how I did it. I mean, I have the privilege of working with the team, so I asked them, and they sent me the specific help center doc that I needed. But Queen 10, I'm just going to raise. I think people like, I don't know, I read small bet here is kind of weak, and I think people are going to bet the ace high board with kind of everything. So I just take it down a lot against, 9-8 or king 5 or whatever. 35 players. We need to get to 40 players in the no limit 100 pool. And then I smile. That is that's the plan, the goal, the reward. Last Poker's got 5 tables of 100 NL. It's easy on you. Well done, and thank you for being a big part of this. Yeah, I could 6 table if I were not streaming. Uh, um, checking queen 10, ace 4, raise the button, easy check on the flop, and we'll just see how the hand progresses. Uh, so Gyro has a good question. By the way, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Actually, I should have called this a. I should have called there. You don't see a lot of ace X in betting range. So Gyro asks, with the 8-7 of diamonds on King King 7, I think it was a spot and 3 pot. Are you basically saying they never check the turn with 8-8 through Queen Queen? Would think you shouldn't bet the turn much since you don't really have those 2 pair outs. So the way the hand went was I called a 3-bet with 8-7 suited in position. Flop was King King 7 with 2 hearts. Small bet from my opponent. I call in position. Turn is a brick, like a 3. Offsuit, they check, and I bet third pot. They check called with ace queen high, and I won it. Showdown, check, check on the river. So the question is, shouldn't they have a lot of queen, queen through 8-8 there? And like I don't have outs to improve. Yes, they should have queen, queen to 8-8, but the really nice thing about that spot is I have trips a lot. And so they can't check raise hands like queen, queen through 8-8, or they shouldn't, because they kind of get punished when I do have trips or draws that can call and then bluff river. So it's essentially a way to very cheaply protect my hand, avoid facing river bets, avoid turning my hand face up by checking back and then facing a big river bet, um, against a range that contains bluffs and value. It just works out very well to bet third pot. And yeah, if I third pot against pocket nines, I'm getting my money in mostly dead, but it's just very, very cheap. And on the upside, I get value against a hand like ace queen. I can fold out a hand like queen jack that has 6 outs, which is 12 to 14% equity, 12, 13. I don't know. So there are a lot of benefits, and it's very, very cheap. And the reason that I get away with that, because in a lot of spots, if you small bet like everything weak, or like every weak protection-y hand, it doesn't work out well because there are a lot of counters that they can make to take advantage of that, especially if you would bet big with stronger hands. But in that spot, the way you play that spot, in theory, I think, is with a lot of small betting, both with hands like mine, like 8-7, that are just looking for some protection and a little bit of value, and trips. And so your range is protected by those trips. And basically, when your opponent can't value raise or value bet as light or as thin, they also can't bluff as much, and it just works out well for you. So kings here, I am in a 3-bet or 4-bet rather. New to this table, so I don't really have reads. We're getting it all in. Kings against queens, that's cooler for my opponent. Hopefully he sucks out. Did not. I'm lucky. I think pretty standard from both parties. EKW would join. I'm unable to make an account. No smartphone, no webcam. Okay, let me see if I can help you. Need to, I might need some help. Okay. So that I don't time out. I could have 4-bet this ace king hand, but I really want to try to help EKW. Okay, let me play some hands first. How many are we up to? We're up to 36. We face a bet here, so I lose to jacks and ace jack. I don't know. I probably just don't raise ace jack nine. I'll just check call. Raise king queen. And we face a big bet here on the turn with ace king. It's kind of ugly in that like I want to jam this hand because it's pretty good and I don't know, but I think it's just a check call. Ah, is it? Yeah. And king queen, I guess I'm folding. It's a decent four bet hand. Can't do it all the time though. And so I think I mean I need to call with ace king because Conrad's going to play ace king this way as well as maybe ace queen. Um, but I don't feel great about it. Ace jack, nice hand. Nice hand. All right. EKW, I've shared your concern with a group of people who might be able to help, although it's not like if I had time, I would email it to a list of a bunch of people, but it's very, very challenging. Um, but I mean, I know that our support is quite good. So hopefully, if they haven't gotten back to you, they will very soon. Ariel says, when will we have another Galfond challenge? The one with Benny Vidi was the most insane thing in poker history. Yeah, as I time out everywhere. Um, I love playing heads up poker. Um, it's been challenging to find challenges when I'm living in the US. Here we flop top set with kings. Morgan's been not that bad. I think checking here makes sense. It's kind of an unfortunate turn. Would have much rather turned to jack. Um, I don't think I can bet too small. It just doesn't really make sense. So let's bet big and hope he has a jack or hope he decides to bluff. Kind of repping queens or like king five. I think I can bet this sizing with those hands. It just folds. Yeah, it's been challenging to find a Galfond challenge when I live in the States now and can't travel like I could before. And, the player pools, blah, blah, blah. Mike Lauren, who I asked about your results, by the way, we're at 36 players for 100 NL. Can we get to 40? So you're a strong winner at 6-man hyper SNGs and 9-man, small MTT winner, small PLO winner, probably 100K in profit. I'm fully aware of how lackluster I am versus high tier players. Well, first of all, I think it might make sense to specialize more. I was talking at the top of the stream about intentional congruence. You're spreading yourself pretty thin in terms of like even the hours you do put in studying, you can't progress one of your games very far because you're just kind of all over the place. I mean, to win in hyper, to win in sit and goes, you kind of have to have you got to know your stuff because it is all not all, but it's mostly technical. So if you're a sit and go winner over a large sample, you probably have studied a decent bit, like you know your ranges. But I hear you, and yeah, some players study a lot. Here with queens, I'm gonna four bet. Brian, loving the site so far, and all the rest of stuff. 10-4, and thank you very much. Glad you're enjoying it. We're up to 7 tables, 36 players of 100 NL. I wanted to get to 40. Hyro, that makes a lot of sense, and I should have known that too. Sorry, sorry, Hyro. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely playing against. So far, the games have been, in my opinion, quite good. I mean, I'm not used to playing 100 NL, but um, the games have been very good, and so I'm playing an exploitative style where I'm just trying to take advantage of what I perceive as weaknesses and you know unbalanced strategies. So yeah, I would be playing differently against other opponents. However, if you're referring to the 8-7 hand, I think actually that's I'd probably do that in higher stakes games at least some of the time. Thomas T, I am in Pennsylvania, big dog. Nicholas Shea, I agree. We can be proud of results and acknowledge that we still have work to do. That's how I feel about myself. MK says overall in NA, I'm assuming that means North America. 100 NL is slower build than 50, but reaches close enough volume with better pools on average. Better pools, so like softer games than 50 NL. That'd be a little surprising, but not shocking. Hey, we're at 41. All right, what should we get to? Is 60 possible? It's going to be harder to get to 60 because some of you can't like 12 table to get us there. But 50 feels too modest a goal. 55. Let's get to 55 players. We got 41. I'm going to stay at these 100 NL games. I am still sitting at a. Actually, I don't even want to say it because I want to do this. I want to get to 60 players at 100 NL. Let's go. See if I successfully recruit anybody on Twitter. See if I can recruit some more. All right, we got pocket pairs. Got a lot of empty waters. 42. We can get to 55. I mean, I actually have 16 at 20 NL, 12 at 10 NL. We got a few at 200 NL. Today's looking pretty good. I'm pleased with this. I guess I'll check call fives. This might just be a fold. Without a heart, I would have folded. And that's not just because you have backdoor heart draw, but it's also because you can hit. You have twice the setouts that don't make a flush. But can't draw the 5 high flush there. Nines. Allison seems to be one of the better players in this field. I don't think I want to raise nines. I think I could just call. This player Bryn's been loose passive pre. So like a really, I mean, simple but effective principle is try to try to play pots with the weaker players. And so like if a weaker player opens, I'm more likely to isolate. Um, so I'm not going to fold jacks. I'm just going to. I think the correct play is to four bet, and then I don't know what I do against a five bet. So if a weaker player opens, try to isolate, three bet more often. If a stronger player opens, try to call and let the other players in behind you. When in doubt, obviously you still want to build big pots with good hands against stronger players sometimes. But when it's close, like I felt like it was here with nines, I could raise, could call. I don't think this makes a good calling hand on the river, so nice hand, Allison. Took it down with jacks. That's a good result. Don't remember what happened here pre with ace jack, but I'm going to bet against the loose passive player and Edward. And I think I could just keep betting kind of two-thirds, two-thirds. Passive player raises. This is bad news. I'm going to call for min raise, and then what's most likely going to happen is I'm going to fold the river. Meanwhile, raise two pair, the bottom right, top two at that. Bet top pair on the bottom left. Uh-oh. Okay. All right, we've got some 5-10 PLO, which means, well, what does it mean? It certainly means that we have 5-10 PLO. But what am I going to do about my other tables? I think we could stick with four. Roberto's been very tight. Maybe I shouldn't defend Jack 5 off or Jack 5 suited here. But now I need to call the flop. Guess I'm gonna. Okay. And fold the turn. That seems fine. Um, yeah, we can stick with four tables. Looking good on the stream. Yeah, good enough. Okay. So Abel's limped a couple hands. Played aggressively post flop. Or like potted post flop, which is an unusual flop sizing. For that reason, I actually small bet this hand where I'd usually consider checking it. I think it's worth bluffing turn. Queen 8 suited, I'm going to fold. McLaurin, so this is an interesting topic. So you're talking about, for backstory, McLaurin had been talking about how he's had success, but he thinks his opponents work harder than him. And I'll check call this. And he's now saying, I'm just stating I'm fully aware of how hard I don't try compared to people that do. I've always done better than most by simply half-assing. Not a character trait I'm proud of. Yeah, so I had an interesting thing come up in okay, so after betting turn, this is not a great river betting hand, but there aren't any that are much better. I am going to give up though. think I'm up against a pair of trips or two pair of trips, basically always or always, always. And oh no, chop it up. Um, so McLaurin, in Beyond the Game, the group coaching I do, I was on a call once with somebody who is struggling with hard work and discipline, and he started talking about how he sees all these people that he looks up to who obviously have a bunch of work ethic, and so he starts and he's just like, and I try hard, I do like have periods where I do a lot of the stuff I want to do and do some of the stuff I want to do consistently, but I just don't do enough. And like, how, I'm not like this person. And he lists an influencer who I also agree, it's like, seems like they work really hard. And lists another one. And I'm like, yep, I'm with you. And then third, he lists me. And I stop and I say, hold on, hold on. So, so you think that these these well-known people who are kind of like known for working really hard and just being super disciplined, and me are similar. And it was interesting to me because first of all, I know how I live my life, and I do better than most in terms of work ethic. But I'm far from like I was very lazy in school. I studied less than my peers in poker, always, still do. Um, and so I was not I struggle with diet and exercise from time to time. Sometimes I'm really doing well. Sometimes I'm off the bandwagon. Sometimes, you know, it's hit or miss. Um, so I was like, okay, whatever your perception is of me, it's not right. And it was also interesting because it made me think, well, hold on, his perception of me is totally off. I wonder if his perception of them is, which also it was my perception of them. Um, basically, the point is we don't really know what other people do for the most part. We know what some close friends do if they're very open with us, but even good friends of mine, like we don't talk about our daily to-do lists very often. So you really don't know how disciplined other people are. And another interesting thing on the same call, I asked, I said, actually, he's only raised 7% of hands, so I'm not going to three bet 9-8 suited. After that, I said, okay, well, who here thinks that they are not as disciplined as they should be? And everybody raised their hand. And this is a group of people that paid $8,000 for a coaching program and are very high performers who've been very successful. Some in poker, some outside of poker, and like play high stakes poker recreationally. So like these are people who kind of crush life, and every single one of them felt like they were not disciplined enough. Not folding this super draw. Do I want to raise and force out a stronger flush draw? Maybe. So like if I can make a king high flush draw fold against a set, I'm actually ahead, not by a lot, but by a little. So if I could force out a king high flush draw here, there's the king high flush draw, unfortunately, but I sucked out, so it's all good. So if those people think that they're not disciplined enough, the fact of the matter is nobody's like very few people are going to get to the point where they think they have enough discipline and are doing enough of what they think they should be doing. Sorry, Queen three makes a good check. Trying to catch up on chat because I just kind of went on a rant there. And I guess let's pot this turn. That's my only sizing on board this dynamic. Yeah, use my Twitter handle to reach out to me. That's the best way to get a hold of me. I don't always respond but that is the best bet. Ace King. Raise it up. Here with 5-5 flush draw against a tiny bet, we'll call. So I raised. This player called. Abel, if you're watching the stream, don't play against me here. I mean, great pot odds. I don't beat any value, but it's just like what 13-1. I just need to call and see what's going on here. Yeah, kings with a spade. So I'm sorry to everybody else for discouraging 5-10 action. But Abel, if you're watching, there's some notable mistakes, which is awesome. You know, play poker and play however you want. But I like everybody on BetRivers to win somehow. I know that's not how it works. Mm, 10-10, I'll get involved. Evan, love the platform. Hyro, you're welcome. And yeah, EKW, thanks for shouting out at Phil Galfond. Laz Poker had Queen Jack against my 9-9. I'm trying to remember. That was a bluff, right? I had a brick, brick, brick paired flop, 10 on turn, king on river, and you bluff me with Queen Jack. Is that right? Nice hand. Nice, nice hand. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. So I just believe that if that's the hand you're talking about, I just believed if you had a bluff, you would bet that flop. Um, Here, unfortunately, this player Abel, who was betting tiny with a weak hand, is now potting, and I have tens with clubs. Really good check raise hand, but I don't think it's the spot or the player to go for a raise. Ace 10, I could bet this turn. Ace 7, I'll peel this flop. Not doing well against value. How many are we at now in the 100? We're down to 29 because I started playing higher stakes. Oh well. We had a good run, guys. We tried. I mean, against third pot, I'm not folding an ace, even though, again, I don't beat value. Interesting river. What are we going to do, Edward? 2x pot. I feel like I've been wrong a lot, but I'm going to fold. 9, river. Nothing about this hand that makes it a good calling hand, but yeah, no, I'm going to fold. All right, so I think we got up to 41 at peak. We're at 31 now. I'd love to get above 40 again, and then maybe I'll stick around longer and go for my goal. I think I'm not going to stream too much longer otherwise, as it's getting late. It's approaching my bedtime. I tend to stream longer when I have a lot of viewership. Um, I really appreciate all of you for being here. I'm not sure why we aren't getting the views I have in the past. I guess I'm playing low stakes, but maybe if I try some MTTs, especially over the like Sunday, I can play some tournaments. It might be fun. Kevin says, y'all hear about the election? Has anything happened at all? Fold. See if the odds have changed. They have, let's see, what was this? 5 p.m. Kalshi says 5 p.m. Trump was 58%, and now he's 66%. So the early states have gone for Trump. I haven't looked carefully, but basically it means, the data that we have so far, we're up to 37. Nice. Welcome back. Probably somebody took a break or a couple of people took a break. Um, let's check this back. It's not really a pot building hand. HKW, wait, there's an election. There is. So like Kalshi poly market, is that what it's called? Yeah. These aren't prediction market. I mean, they kind of are, but they're not prediction, like there's no algorithm that's predicting things. They are betting sites. So the bettors are telling us. I mean, they are called prediction markets for that reason, but the bettors are telling us what they think is going to happen. So Trump's 66% there. On poly market, he goes from 60%, which started higher, to 70%. So that's what I mean. I said earlier, like the um the odds are different on multiple sites, which creates a lot of opportunity for people who are into that kind of thing. Again, not financial advice. Although if you can get arbitrage opportunities, you can't really lose unless the site doesn't pay you. Again, not financial advice. 37 players and 100 NL pool. Can we get to 55? It's a little bit ambitious, especially given the likely length of the stream. McLaurin saying, only material I've paid for in poker is ICMizer. I can barely study for an hour. Like you, school was easy. I'm likely naturally gifted at strategy games, love learning, hate studying. Quote that haunts me: hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. Yeah. I don't think it's entirely true because, like you have, I've succeeded against much harder work. Even at times when I wasn't working hard, although these days I work harder. Um, yeah, man, I would say find ways that you enjoy learning. So first of all, the fact that you haven't paid for video content, like videos are an easy, enjoyable way to study for people who are like us. I did a lot of my learning from videos. Now, at a high level, solver work's going to be more effective than videos usually, unless you get an advanced course and it's really well done. But I would say try some videos. If you're up 150K in poker and you haven't paid, like I think it's a big mistake to not have paid more money to learn poker. Pay for a coach, actually. Like if you're serious about playing a lot of volume, pick a game, pick a coach, or pick a game, pick a course. Then if it's going better or going well, continuing to go well, pick a coach. And yeah, I think at the level that you are playing, to not invest some more money into studying, I think is a big mistake. Just put it that way. So here, I kind of wish I see bet Jack 9, but now on the turn, I'm not going to bet. I'll go ahead with the river bet. Bet 2 pair on the PLO table, top 2 in this 3-way pot. Maximus raised pre and checked. I think he's, has 1 pair or less always. Abel, who's extremely loose passive pre, plays 95% of hands, has raised 4% of hands I'm gonna check. I mean, my hand's a very clear turn check, and now I think this is a really good check raise because it could be a small bet though. Against draws, no, small bet's gonna work better, I think. Against draws, checking is good, but he might bluff raise some draws. And against a queen, I kind of want to get him to raise a queen. Now, if he had a queen, I played my hand the worst way possible. He didn't raise. Yeah, he had, well, queen six makes sense. So probably potting against that hand would have done the best. Maybe actually maybe check raising, but if he's a good hand reader, he would be cautious potentially in that spot. But yeah, I think the reason I decided to small bet is because I just didn't want him to not bluff like fives that he might call with. But I guess he's not going to call with fives anyway. So I think that was a mistake. Called three bet with 5-8 suited, and it's actually A5 suited. So call a three bet with A5 suited, flop everything. I think I don't know. Like you're not really supposed to just go with it now. Kind of want to, but no, I'll wait. Father says, some would say the ability to be disciplined and work hard is a talent in and of itself. I think it is. And you can certainly train it. So I could rip this in as a bluff. It's very reasonable hand to do that with. Let's do it. Okay. Lucky me. I didn't feel like I had a lot of fold equity, but you have some. And it's hard to make money on those rivers anyway. My equity is pretty good against that hand. Maybe bet bigger with, I don't know, whatever. I think I just keep betting with sevens. I unblock ace 10, I unblock queen, I unblock jack. I don't want to bet too big, but I mean, I want to get all the money in. And now we just put it in. Easy peasy. I'm sorry to everybody on BetRivers for taking your money. I do want you to beat me, but I just can't play badly. And I can't run badly either. I'm a very lucky guy. This 8 is probably good, so start betting. Fold, fold. Okay. $1 from Rowan, who's 54-0. I just want to see it with 11-1. Let's just see it. Nice hand. The lines are moving pretty fast on the election, so I'm not going to read too much into any changes. EKW, I want to read this message, but first I have aces. Three-bet aces get cold called. Abel has not seen a hand he doesn't like in four-card PLO, which I get. He cold calls $368 in the pot. We've got, well, Maximus and I have a lot of money back in stacks. We're 2,000 deep. Abel's got 900. It's not the worst hand to kind of bluff with on the flop, clear out equity when it gets checked to me. Yeah, it's a good rhyme. But I'm gonna check back. It's not often that you walk into the three-syllable rhyme. I mean, I got a call with the gut shot and the nut flush draw, and I beat bluffs. He might have king jack jack, and somehow I just win on a like a queen river goes check check potentially. I'm probably gonna lose, and I'm definitely not gonna call. Kevin says you could arbitrage polymarket and predict it as we speak. Predicted as Trump at 60, polymarket as Harris at 31. Um, so do I want to bluff him potentially off of a hand like King 9 10? I think he might call, so I'm just not going to. I win against a decent number of these hands, but I just had the nuts and was going for the trappy trap. I get min raised here by Felix. I guess you got it, bud. You got it. Ball here with the gut shot and the king high. Tom Grubbit. Did I get that right? Or close. Says hi. Hi to you. Thanks for being here. Neil G says, I'm voting for the good one because the bad one's bad. I like that. I'm going to go with that answer too, to all of you asking. So I'm going to bet this Jack Deuce. It's not really a good, like it's a little too thin, but when I have the gut shot as well, and I just really want to clear up some equity, and now I'm going to check. King 5 is a weird, like, I don't really know what Ivan is repping here. To go bet, check, bet. I'm a little suspicious. How many hands has this player played? I'm gonna hero call and just see what happens. Yeah. And here we'll pot 5 high, no clubs. Yeah, it's all working out. This is what I mean. I'm lucky. Let's raise this up. Nice flop for us here. Ace 5 6. Yeah, I think we want to bet. Turn here with eights is interesting. I'm gonna make a weird small bet. With ace 5, I'm gonna check. I don't think I'm getting a lot of hands to fold, but I would like to fold. So like this play with eights is weird. It's not normal, I think, but I just want to get one more street against like 4-5 and clear out some equity. I'm gonna check. And now go for a big bet. And like, yeah, I put in money bad against Jack, but I didn't put in that much money. And if I checked and face a bigger bet, I might have to like I either get bluffed sometimes or I call and lose more against that hand. So I think it works out nicely. Got called by King High Flush. Wow, double suited kings. That pre-flop did not raise. Yeah. Abel's just likes every hand but doesn't want to three bet them or raise them in the first place. Yeah, yeah, I don't play much 5 card and 6. I mean, I basically don't play at all. 5 card and 6 card. Mission Possible. So I don't really have a strong take there. check. If you are a 510 PLO player, I'm going to wrap up soon. I'm not going to play in this game, and this game looks pretty good. So you might want to try it out. Also, not financial advice, though. I'm going to check call with the gut shot and two back doors. I've also got the 10 blockers, which could prove quite useful. I mean, let's try this. It's hard to have air. I got to get it through Abel. I think Molina has a bad hand, but Abel does not. Abel's going to min raise. Where's the nice hand? Nice hand. I think Molina's folding that river almost always, but and you know, I had to get through Abel. How old was I when I made my first million? I was 21 or 22. Um, I think of it in terms of like summers, because between WSOPs, and I know it was between the WSOP when I was 21 and the WSOP when I was 22. Or at least I think it was. Games were, well, higher stakes back then, more accessible, and especially from the United States. Uh, yeah, mission asking about what I think about strategy in those games and their long term future. I don't really know. I think they're just as they're very strategic still. Queen four is too thin. I think it's on this six river, two straights get there. A lot of other stuff. That check call is not good with just the open ender. And here Jamie checks back the flop and raises turn. Raise, try to win a big pot. So I'm not going to jam. I'm actually going to go a little small here, which is not solver approved, I think. I give Jamie a chance to like bluff raise or I don't know. Jamie has either a good hand or a potential bluff, and so like a good hand is always calling this, I would think, unless Jamie's sharp enough to read into the fact that I think a good hand is always calling this, and then a bluff might jam over it. That's my hope. Looks like Jamie's gonna lay it down. Nice fold. So I haven't done a good job of losing to well, we got 40 in the 100 NL pool. So hop in there if you want to play some 100 NL. Haven't done a good job of losing to the players on BetRivers, but I will just sit out whatever position I'm in, give them some EV that way of sitting out on my button and so on. So I do give back. Don't ever say I don't give back. But yeah, that was quite the heater. Um, the games are better than they were when I played Rest of World in these simples. So that's exciting. I think these games are quite good, and that means that more players are going to show up because it's all like reaches an equilibrium. Thank you all for watching and chatting with me. Best of luck to those of you with who are playing on BetRivers Poker, and also those of you who have election bets to sweat, and all of you who have no bets but are still sweating pretty hard. I know a lot of that. McLaurin, yeah, I think society doesn't teach the skill of learning very well. Most effective approach to learning poker, yes, yes to the why. But like I said earlier, I think the if there was one hack that I would pick, it would be learning with others. So finding others to play and learn with. Um, but yeah, that said, thank you all for joining. I will be back tomorrow with another stream. I'm going to put out a schedule soon because it's kind of been haphazard these days, but plan to keep coming back. Follow me on X as well as subscribe here so you get notified when I stream if I haven't given you notice. But tomorrow night, probably around the same time, I should be streaming. So there's your heads up. And take care and good luck. See you next time.